because you don't want them running all night. This one, make sure to turn it off. Check the Iraq military was scared of the Marines because they actually believed that to become an American Marine, you had to murder a member of your family at basic training. Now that obviously is not true by any stretch of the imagination, but I think it speaks volumes that an entire military actually believed it. The Marine Corps merely existing is a form of psychological warfare. And that's just when they're merely existing. They're way scarier when they're actually doing their job. Like for everybody, including their own chain of command. For example, during the Battle of Fallujah, the Marines got so many headshots that the United States military had to launch an internal investigation because they were concerned that the Marines may have been executing people at point blank. They weren't. They were just out there giving long-range lobotomies at a rate that the American government didn't know was possible, which adds even more to the psychological warfare aspect. I mean, how would you feel if you had to go up against a military force that you knew was under investigation for getting too many headshots? I'm gonna go out on a limb and say not great. And that is truly intimidation at its finest, because everybody knows the most advanced militaries in the world offer their men body armor. Ain't nobody giving their guys face armor. The Iraq military was scared of the Marines because they actually believed that to become an American Marine, you had to...
I just found out you can become a horror villain movie with $60 in a Harbor Freight, because I bought this welding mask and this freaking heavy pipe wrench for $60. And they didn't even look at me weird. They didn't even ask for any identification. They were just like, enjoy your mask and pipe wrench, sir. I just found out you can become a horror villain.
There's a town in Arizona that's being taken over by a group of teenagers called the Gilbert Goons. I said it, a group of teenagers. This is Preston Lord. He was unalive when he was at a Halloween party back in October. There was hundreds of people at this party. Hundreds. Still no arrest. This is the lead attorney in the county, Rachel Mitchell. Okay? She is overlooking charges that the police gave to her on 7 individuals, but yet Rachel has not filed the charges against them, has yet to file the charges against them, okay? There is assaults all over Arizona in this town, okay? People can't go to In-N-Out Burger, they can't go to convenience stores. They're like being held hostage by this group of teenagers. This is unbelievable, folks. Yet charges are on the main attorney's desk, and she refuses to file them at this point. She's saying she's looking it over, and we only got one shot at this, so she's going to look it over. But if you watch her press conference the other day, she was so rude to a reporter that was questioning her. And I just want to say to all the Arizonans out there, Rachel works for you. You don't work for her. She answers your questions. She's the politician. You're paying her salary. She answers your questions. And if you don't like what Rachel Mitchell's doing, you vote her out. You vote her out. Because I saw the press conference, and she was rude as hell to that reporter. Okay? No teens should take over a town. Where are the police? Where is the district attorney? Where is the mayor? Let's no!
My bones are black. Like, the bones in my body are black. And it's because I have something called minocycline black bone disease.
And fun fact, there's a good chance that your bones are a different color too. Minocycline isn't the only medication that can change the color of your bones. Tetracycline, an antibiotic, can actually turn your bones yellow-green. Accutane, another common acne medication, depending on how long you've been using it, can turn your bones light green or dark forest green. And that's just the ones we happen to spot incidentally during routine surgery. There could be more medications and more bone colors. And fun fact part 2, your bones aren't white, they're actually pink.
My bones are black. Like the...
Where there's a rip, there's a way. Where there's a rip, there's a way. Where there's a rip, we don't want to go to war today. But the Lord of the land says, nay, nay, nay. We're gonna march all day, all day, all day. Where there's a rip, there's a way.
55% of marriages end in divorce. 90% of your relationships that are started before they are 30 end. If those were the stats for surgery, none of us would fucking risk it. But because it's love and we're stupid, we just lie on the operating table like maybe this time I will die inside. My generation has become so obsessed with starting the rest of their lives that they're willing to give up the one they are currently living. We have romanticized the idea of romance, and it is cancerous. People are more in love with the idea of love than the person they are with. I am very aware that this is not a particularly funny bit of the show. Every time I've done this routine, my agent's just like, can you drop the fucking sad bit? And my answer is no, for 3 reasons. 1, my show, fuck you. 2, I think it's one of the very few smart routines I've done. 3, I know I'm right. I've had this analogy in my head since I was 7 years old, but it's always spoken to me because I'm a perpetually single person. So before I did it on stage, I wanted to talk to my friends, the ones who were always in relationships, to see if it resonated with them in the same way that it resonated with me. So I was like, I've got this analogy, I remember when I was young, it might just sound stupid, but does this make sense to you in the same way it does to me? Within 5 months, 4 of them had broken up with their partners. Yeah. I am not saying it's impossible to find love. All I'm saying is that statistically, you have not. All I'm saying is if you're finding it hard to laugh at this routine, it's because deep down, you don't love the person you're with. So either start laughing or enjoy the awkward car ride home. 55% of marriages end in divorce. 90% of your relationships that are started before they are 30 end. If those were the stats for surgery, none of us would fucking risk it.
I no longer make chicken drumsticks in old
Peaches, but every time Bowser says peaches, there's a loud fart noise. Part 2.
I don't want to do this. I don't.
Hey, guess what? This is it. I will not lose this challenge.
This one is from my one and only true love, Princess Peach. Peach, so cool. And with my star, we're gonna rule. Peach, understand, I'm gonna love you till the very end. Love really makes a guy come out of his shell.
Peaches, but every time Bowser says peaches, there's a loud fart noise.
Don't be open-minded. Make the same mistakes your father made. Be a man. Don't be open-minded. Make the same mistakes your father made. Be a man. Don't be open-minded. Make the same mistakes your father made. Be a man. Don't be open-minded. Make the same mistakes your father made. Be a man. Don't be...
I don't think you realize how powerful the F-22 Raptor really is. When most people talk about the F-22's dominance, they talk about its stealth or its sensor-fusing avionics, and don't get me wrong, those are very handy in a fight. But whenever you talk to pilots about squaring off with the F-22 Raptor, they're always talking about how fast and how powerful it is. Now this confused me early on because, after all, the F-15 is America's fastest fighter, with a top speed of Mach 2.5 versus the F-22's Mach 2.25. But the truth is, these afterburning top speeds are really a glamour metric. In order to actually achieve these top speeds, an aircraft has to be flying without any external or internal ordnance, as well as very little fuel. And the truth is, with your afterburner at full tilt, most fighters will expend all of the fuel on board in just a matter of minutes, meaning nobody ever sees an aircraft's top speed in an actual fight. In fact, more often than not, when fighters are squaring off against one another, they're not even using their afterburners at all. They're flying under what's commonly called military power. Now that's because afterburners work by just dumping fuel into the outflowing exhaust of your jet engine.
It might help to think of the afterburner sort of like the nitrous you saw used in the Fast and the Furious movies. Yes, it will make your aircraft go a whole lot faster. You've got to be limited in the way that you use it. And that brings me back to the F-22 and its mind-boggling Pratt & Whitney F-119 afterburning turbofan engines. You see, back in 1997, the F-22 wasn't just the first stealth fighter ever to fly, but it was powered by the world's first turbofan engines designed specifically for stealth applications. These engines, designed by Pratt & Whitney, not only took great pains to reduce radar detectability and even to minimize the amount of detectable heat produced by the engines, but they also delivered a revolutionary leap forward in power production and efficiency. These engines were so advanced that it wasn't until last year, in 2023, that Russia and China announced plans to put their own fifth-generation engines into production for the first time ever. That's right, it took until 2023 for either of those nations to match the engine technology the F-22 was flying with in 1997. And whether or not they're true technological peers is still subject to some debate. But when I say a revolutionary step forward in power production, what do I mean? Well, let's put it in terms of comparisons we can all appreciate. The legendary SR-71 Blackbird was powered by a pair of J-58 turbojets that are sometimes known as turbo ramjets that could each pump out a jaw-dropping 34,000 pounds of thrust under afterburner, giving the SR-71 a combined 68,000 pounds of go-fast. The F-22 Raptor and its F-119s, on the other hand, each produce about 35,000 pounds of thrust for a combined 70,000 pounds. That's right, the F-22 Raptor produces more power than the SR-71 did under afterburner. But we already know afterburners are used sparingly in combat, and if you ask me, the F-22's truly daunting figures come in terms of its dry power output, or output without afterburner. You see, each of the F-22's turbofan engines produce 26,000 pounds of thrust without the afterburner engaged for a combined 52,000 pounds of thrust under military power. And to give you a sense of just how insane that is, that means the F-22 Raptor produces more power without its afterburners engaged than the F-15C can with its afterburners at full tilt. Just try to wrap your head around that. The F-22 Raptor is so powerful without its afterburners that not only can it supercruise or fly at supersonic speeds without using its afterburner, but it's been reported to supercruise at speeds as high as Mach 1.8. That means the F-22 can fly faster without its afterburners engaged than the F-35 can fly at all. I don't think you realize how powerful the F-22 Raptor really is. When most people talk about the F-22...
We just got back from mining crystals. If you don't know, we are out in Arkansas mining crystals. And of course, just checking out Arkansas and all it's got to offer. And I gotta say, we found some pretty cool stuff. And you know who else was there with me? This guy, right here. Now it's great because we found some pretty freaking cool pieces. This is kind of what the ground looked like and where we found some of the pieces. We found a bunch of quartz crystals. Here's another fun clip.
Would you look at that? Just look at it. What's this?
And another really fun thing is I'm going to be giving these crystals. So if you go here and you grab any of our things, we got tons of things to choose from. We're going to be including some of our hand-mined quartz crystals. Until we...
Fireball is Plan B.
I actually don't have it prepared.
In 8 hours, Fireball is Plan B.
I can swap my spells in a round.
In 6 seconds, Fireball is Plan B. Fireball is Plan B.
I actually don't have it prepared.
In 8...
I am not trying to seduce you. Would you like me to seduce you? I am not trying to seduce you. Would you like me to seduce you?
You wake up in a universe where everyone is always super strong except you. You're sought after as a hero for delicate missions where precision and minimal structural damage is ideal. It was with an absent-minded air that I jerked the fridge open and grabbed the peanut butter jar. Hefting it with a grunt over my shoulder, I grabbed a laughably large knife and dumped them next to the substantial box that contained the bread. The actions were familiar now, if bothersome. The reinforced milk jug was a different dilemma. This required 2 hands and some dragging. Katie kept putting it on the 3rd shelf, even though I had reminded her just yesterday that if she didn't want me wearing a dent into the floor, I needed it on the bottom shelf. With a gasp and a wheeze, I managed to park that on the table as well. Thank goodness the tables here were just as robust as the rest of everything. Back home, I would have been worried for the poor fiberboard we like to use so much. Hey, Katie? I called towards the door. Yeah? She sounded far away, probably playing a game in the next room over. Could you make me a sandwich? There was an audible groan from her and then the couch. She walked lightly for someone so strong. Strong leg muscles meant she could pad as quietly as a beetle. She was the same size as me, if a bit wider. Her muscles seemed normal. Now, after wow had it been already 5 years. They rippled and eased around each other as she strode over to the table. Aw, you already got the stuff out? Thanks. Well, I fidgeted. Even if I can't open the peanut butter, at least I can pick it up. She grinned and popped open the jar with ease. The knife was light in her hand, but the bread was flattened under the force of her spreading. I grinned back. By the way, could you change the light bulb in the bathroom? They just shatter when I try to do it. No problem. Such a small chore was just the sort of thing I excelled at. I spent much of my time handling things that couldn't withstand much force. In exchange for a sandwich, the least I could do was change a light bulb. Besides, it might give me more spare parts to make a game controller so I could finally whoop Katie's ass at Mario Monster Trucks. You wake up in a universe where everyone is always super strong except you. You're sought after as a hero for delicate missions where precision and minimal structural damage is ideal. It was with an absent-minded air that I jerked the fridge open and grabbed the peanut butter jar. Hefting it with a grunt over my shoulder, I grabbed a laughably large knife and dumped them next to the substantial box that contained the bread. The actions were familiar now, if bothersome. The reinforced milk jug was a different dilemma. This required 2 hands and some dragging. Katie kept putting it on the 3rd shelf.
We believe that we are something separate from the rest of the world. That is not so. And therefore, the way that we use these words, artificial and natural, serves the purpose to reinforce this perspective we have that anything that we would do would not be part of a universal order. And the power that we have is to change our programming language. We believe that we are something separate from the rest of the world.
You're up early.
Hey, buddy, how's it going?
Whoa, yo, what?
What?
Why is your voice so deep?
It's just a little deeper in the morning. Yours doesn't do that?
You sound like you're narrating a Ford commercial.
Yeah, I get that sometimes.
Is that like a condition? Or?
I don't know why it does that, Daniel. It's early. Will you let me enjoy my morning in peace?
Yeah, okay.
I'm going to make some tea for Dennis. You want one too?
No, sir. No, thank you, hoodie guy.
And FYI, Dennis is a little under the weather. He sounds terrible. Try not to draw attention to it. I think he's self-conscious.
Do you mean self-conscious?
お前らおはよ
Morning.
う。うわ、声低すぎだろ。
Okay, what is going on?
まあね、体調が悪いと声が全然違う。
It's not that bad.
大丈夫。伝染病じゃないから。
That's not what I'm worried about.
Got a tea for you.
ありがとな。
Am I having a stroke?
Calm down. One sip of this coffee and my voice usually goes back to normal.
See? Also, I went ahead and slipped some echinacea into your drink, so you should be feeling. You're up early.
Hey, buddy.
Are you putting pine outside? I sure am. Wait, there's no New Game Plus in Standard Edition? Oh, this is that's so shitty, man. Is this real? Like, is this actually real? No, this is so bad. I don't believe it. Master Vacation Pack. Use your Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth Clear data to play New Game Plus on 3 difficulty levels. So the Master Vacation Pack is the New Game Plus. And then, if I go back and I look at what this is, it shows that the Master Vacation Bundle is only available for the Deluxe Edition and... Oh, wow. This actually is real. Holy shit. I think more people need to be talking about this. Like, this is really bad. For such a long time, the Ultimate Editions and the Deluxe Edition, there was never any real content that was locked behind that. It would just give you bells and whistles. But now, I feel like you're buying it to go from 90% to 100%. And to me, that's like a huge deal. Like, I would not play this game because of that. This is really, like, this is bad. Because, like, if people accept this, then you're gonna see this all the time. Wait, there's no New Game Plus in Standard Edition? Oh, that's so shitty, man.
There are some zombie apocalypses that I think would be the hardest to survive. I'm going to be ranking them from least hardest to most hardest. And yeah, this is really fucking hard to do. First one on the chopping block is World War Z. Now, the reason I chose World War Z is because 1, they sprint, holy fucking shit, and 2, they move in somewhat of a hive mind. Now, what do I mean by that? In the film, they run up to the wall of Jerusalem, which is about 100 feet high, give or take, and they pile themselves in front of the wall to create a shelf. Once they get to the top of the shelf at the top of the wall, they throw themselves on the other side of the fucking wall and for the other zombies before them to land. And also create more of a cushion and more of a cushion and more of a cushion until finally the people who drop on the other side don't die. And then they go on and infect everyone in Jerusalem. The reason I think it's one of the easier ones to survive out of these is because at the end they find a cure. That's it. It was cured at the end. Second one is 28 days later. Now, a lot of you guys are like, what the fuck? That one is this high up? Yeah, because you haven't seen the other ones yet. The reason I put this one here is because it's an offset of the rabies virus, which makes its victims extremely enraged. It's called the rage virus. Imagine somebody running at you at full fucking sprint with blood in his eyes, bloodshot eyes, blood leaking out of his orifices, and he's just pissed, and he is sprinting at you at full speed. I'm good, fuck that. What I understand about the rage virus, it's been a while since I've seen the movie, but they don't lose their problem-solving skills. So they will just come at you, no matter what. Nothing stops them, because they're that pissed off. So, Jesus Christ. The reason I put Left 4 Dead 2 and not Left 4 Dead 1 is because number 2 had different variants of zombies, or more variants, but it's the same virus nonetheless. If you don't know anything about the green virus, or Left 4 Dead 2's zombie virus, is that it is airborne sometimes, and not airborne other times. What the fuck does that even mean? That means sometimes, just by breathing, you get the fucking green virus, and other times, if you're immune to the airborne stuff, then getting scratched by them will definitely get it to you. If you somehow survive not being infected in any one of those two highly contagious ways, you have to deal with the different variants, such as hunters, smokers, boomers, tanks, spitters. The list goes on and on of the different variants on top of the regular zombies that you already have to fucking deal with. While dealing with this dude's punch can throw a fucking car hundreds of feet. What about his brother, the Charger, who literally charges you and just slams you into the ground? What about the Witch, who is literally just crying there to bait you into helping her, and then she just shreds you to ribbons? What about Hunters, who literally jump up 9 stories of buildings and then climb on top of you and rip your ass to shreds? What about Smokers, who literally throw their tongues out and wrap you up like a fucking biscuit and then just crush your ribs? Are you dealing with all of that? I didn't think so. Last one you ain't surviving is Crossed. The reason I put Crossed here is because I'm not sure if they're zombies or not. Crossed virus doesn't affect your motor skills, your problem-solving skills. It doesn't affect anything that makes you you. All it does is it reverses your brain chemistry to make you act out your most evil impulses. Everything that is evil is good, and everything that is good is evil. In the comics, there are literally just like rape happening in the comics. There are people with chainsaws chopping up little kids because they think that they're doing something good. They think that they're expressing their love because their brain chemistry is fucked up. Also, something I find fucking insane.
Ew, you're not allowed in here with only 200,000 power.
Bro hit 60 blinkers in that thing.
The craziest negotiations. We ended up agreeing.
If you play PALWORLD, then listen up. These are the 5...
The UK government is introducing a ban on zombie knives and machetes. If you've got one, you can surrender it to the police so that they can scrap it. That's what we're going to do with this knife right now, innit? We're going to melt it down and that. The government tried to ban zombie knives and that before, but it didn't work because there was a loophole. The loophole was that as long as the knife doesn't have any images or words on it that incite violence, you can still sell it. But the new laws mean that even if the knife is blank and it doesn't have any images or words of violence, it's still illegal, you get me? That's going to make it a lot more difficult for people to get a hold of it and that. Idris Elba took to Parliament to protest for a ban on zombie knives and machetes, using his campaign Don't Stop Your Future. From September 2024, it will become unlawful to possess, sell, transport or manufacture zombie knives and machetes. This ban also includes knives that have a cut-in or serrated edge. Big up the UK government for doing something positive. The UK government is in...
You have to sign up for selective service as a young male. But what would happen if you didn't? Everything in this video is factual information, therefore I can now be prosecuted for it. Thank you. Did you know that telling people they shouldn't sign up for selective service is a felony, and you can get 5 years in prison for it? So make sure to sign up for selective service. With that being said, here are the facts. The last prosecution for someone not signing up for selective service was in 1986, almost 40 years ago. Obviously, since 1986, people have not signed up for selective service. So just put 2 and 2 together for me. But if they were to prosecute you, you would end up with up to $250,000 in fines and 5 years in prison. If you get drafted for the military, just looking at past wars, right out of the gate, you have a 10% chance of dying. And that number only increases, just depending on different variables. 10% is the minimum. 30% chance of disability if you see combat at minimum, and if you're a draftee, you're likely to see combat. Also, let me remind you, if you were to get your 5 years in prison, it would be in a federal prison, which is much better than a state prison. You're gonna have your 3 square meals a day, a comfy bed, and multiple hobbies to engage with, even socialization as much as you want. And that's all terrible stuff. It's awful, which is why you should sign up for selective service instead and risk dying. At the end of the day, though, the government isn't that stupid. They're not going to rely on a draft. That's why they've been pumping all of their money into AAA gaming studios in Hollywood for the past 20 years. They're entirely relying on voluntary service at this point.
I think World War III is already happening. Not like build-up of tension in the Middle East, not like proxy wars in Ukraine. I mean, like, I think we're conceptualizing of warfare all wrong, and I think it's already happening. You know the famous Einstein quote, I know not with what weapons World War III will be fought, but I know what World War IV will be fought with sticks and stones? Well, I think we might have an answer to what weapons World War III will be fought with. For about the last month now, I've been doing a deep dive in the background into how cyber warfare works, and I think that all of us in the general population that are not programmers and hackers and coders have a fundamental lack of understanding of how all this works, and it makes it so we don't realize that war is happening inside of your computers and devices as we speak. And I don't mean like just steal your identity or like observe your data. I mean like attacks on nuclear facilities. I mean like attacks on military equipment, like hijacking planes and flying them remotely, like the ability to shut down whole power grids and water systems. And not only is it fascinating to learn about, but it's also really important to learn about because we all engage in the digital ecosystem, and we are all inherently targets of other nation states trying to attack our nation states, and vice versa. Not to mention anonymous hacker groups, random kids in their basement. Anyone with a computer can participate in this war. And I'm about to make the case to you that it is war, and that you are participating whether you know it or not. So, here's the big picture. If you walked into a military conference in ancient Rome and told those generals, one day wars will be fought without a single sword, not even a spear or a horse in sight, they would have laughed at you. They would have thought you were crazy. But then guns were invented, and for a while the two types of combat coexisted. But then technology advanced, and you got airplanes and tanks and Gatling guns and whatever else. There's a whole theory to this about different generations of warfare that we'll get into more in other videos. But the advent of computers fundamentally changes warfare. In so many ways, I don't even think I can fit them all into this video. But let's start with the basics. These days, everything is built on code. Websites are just the most obvious example. But if you go to your whatever website and you right-click and you click on Inspect, you can view the code directly. But the thing about code is it's designed to interface with what's going on here. It's designed to be updated. It's designed to communicate with other code. It can be modified, changed, and thereby hacked and exploited. The invention of code is inherently an arms race because billions of dollars worth of commerce goes through Amazon.com. And so anyone that can influence the code that is Amazon.com can influence the billions of dollars that transfers through Amazon.com. Fun fact, in the source code that I was inspecting there on Amazon.com, I found a duck that says meow. Probably just for fun. And the funny thing about the advent of cyber warfare is that a lot of the best hackers are actually kids. Kids that have grown up inside of computers, coding from a very early age. Some of the most famous hackers of all time, hackers that have hacked into the CIA and NSA, were under the age of 16. And the stakes are so high in modern day that a lot of those kids actually wind up getting jobs with the agencies that they hacked. And now we have a world where nation states are building armies of hackers and using them to fight against other nation states. Because these days everything can be hacked, from your computer to your cell phone to freaking spy planes. No joke, it actually happened. Someone hacked into an F-35 fighter jet and they hijacked it and just flew it around for hours. They flew all kinds of weird flight patterns and just like diddled around with one of the most highly advanced pieces of military weaponry in the world. So most of us have been trained to conceptualize of war as something that looks like this. And if it doesn't look like this, we don't really think of it as actual war. We think of it as other types of conflict or hacking or whatever that is not changed about a decade ago when Iran's nuclear program was targeted by a virus called Stuxnet. See, they had this secret nuclear facility in Natanz where they were enriching uranium to make nuclear weapons. And they were targeted by an extremely advanced cyber attack that was probably orchestrated by the US and Israel, that over the course of a couple weeks wound up literally destroying the centrifuges physically in their nuclear facility by hacking the programmable controllers that controlled the speed at which the centrifuges spun. And although this virus, Stuxnet, was designed to target Iran specifically in this specific facility, it self-propagated and got out and is now available on the general web to any hacker that wants to read the code. See, the nature of cyber warfare is fundamentally different because it is in some ways inherently open sourced. Anyone that can read and write code can participate, and any piece of code that anyone can get their hands on can then be weaponized by anyone that has the power to weaponize it. It can then be targeted at any device that is connected to the internet or that can be accessed directly by things like flash drives or other local networks. And so now I'm about to describe to you the current state of cyber warfare and the markets that it has spawned and how different groups around the world are positioning for this war. This is all about to be very oversimplified because I'm in way over my head. But in essence, the entire cyber warfare world is based on what's called a zero-day exploit, meaning everything is based on code. And when people write code, they are inherently only able to defend against threats that they can already kind of conceive of. But humans are fallible, and inevitably new code has new vulnerabilities that people can exploit if they can find them and figure out how to exploit them. Like, remember the duck that says meow that I found in the Amazon source code there? I'm sure it was put there by Amazon, but who knows? Maybe someone else put it there. And so anyone with a computer and an understanding of coding anywhere in the world can examine code of any business, any product, anything that comes onto the market, and if they find a vulnerability that is exploitable, that is a zero-day exploit because no one has seen it yet, and until they utilize it and expose that they found that vulnerability, it's wide open. And maybe they utilize it, but a far more common thing for them to do these days is to sell it. An entire industry has sprung up around nation states like the CIA or Iran or China buying zero-day exploits so that they can create cyber weapons like what was used on Iran in order to target those exploits. These things sell for millions of dollars a piece. Certain types of exploits are more valuable than other types of exploits because they inherently can produce more dangerous weapons. Like, for example, an exploit in the iPhone code would be really, really dangerous. There's a whole history to this market that we don't have time to go into right now. But this has led to groups of hackers establishing around the world and sort of acting as their own kind of miniature armies in the digital space. They are called APTs, or Advanced Persistent Threats, which just means a whole bunch of kids that are in their basements or in secret facilities, hacking on computers with whatever agendas. Various defense companies track different groups around the world. They give them labels like APT-38, who's suspected to be in North Korea. They mostly do financial stuff, but then there are APTs based in countries like China that mostly target cyber operations, defense contractors, military information technology, aerospace technology. Like, imagine if China got a hack on the US satellite networks, or got a hack into the Pentagon, for example. But it's not just countries, it's also just criminals or white hat hackers, meaning like good guys that are trying to keep us all safe. There's this cool website that keeps a list of all targeted cyber attacks that have been exposed, where you can scroll through and look at all the different hacks that have happened over the years and which ones are still active and how many devices they've affected. Here they have Stuxnet, which you can go in and look at, the history of Stuxnet. And so our inherent tendency is to look at all of this information and sort of file it away in this little box in our minds as like this other thing that happens that's, not war. And the way that, at least in the US, we were all taught to conceptualize of history, we were under the impression that the Cold War ended and that it was just one conflict in history. But the advent of nuclear weapons fundamentally changed warfare because it changed the way we all conceptualize of warfare. It gave rise to the age of intelligence agencies and covert warfare, which is very much warfare. And in the exact same way, the advent of highly technological nations and connections gives rise to digital warfare. And although we may see troops on the ground if there is a war or conflict between the US and China, the weapons of cyber warfare are far more powerful than conventional troops. It's far more politically palatable to launch a secret cyber war against your enemy than to send the children of your own country off to die in a massive ground war that inherently holds the risk of nuclear war as well. And I think the most important thing for us all to realize about this new evolution of warfare is that we are all a part of it because we are all connected into the battlefield, which is the technological space, the internet of things. We've seen small blips of it, like the casino hacks in Las Vegas, like the massive solar wind hack that happened a couple of years ago that most of us didn't pay too much attention to. But make no mistake, at this present moment, all the major superpowers in the world are amassing cyber armies, and they are fighting over zero-day exploits to try to get the upper hand, and we're all caught in the crossfire. Because if you want to win a cyber war against another major power in the world, one of the best targets is their civilians, targeting politics, affecting public opinion, financial spaces, creating chaos. Because foreign states are targeting us with information warfare, it means that our own government has to also target us with information warfare. So what you think is just your Twitter feed or your Facebook feed is actually a battlefield on which World War III is currently being fought. And your perceptions and your opinion are the targets. And that's why I think World War III is already happening. Not like buildup of tension in the Middle East.
You're telling me that when you imagine something, you see it.
So this is the imagination spectrum. At this highest level, you can fully imagine a realistic apple when you close your eyes. At the lowest level, you don't see anything. You can conjure the word apple, but you don't actually see an apple in your head. Personally, I'm like a 4, maybe 4.5. Like I can't get all the way to like a super realistic apple, but like I can see a red apple in my head. Now, if you're all the way down here at the 1 where you don't see anything when you imagine something, you can't conjure an image, that's called aphantasia, and it affects like between 2 and 5% of the world's population. It's not a bad thing, it's just your brain works differently. Just a little fun fact about you that now you know.
You're telling me that when you imagine...
Oh, look, a new cow! I don't have that one yet. Quit!
The number you have dialed is not available at present. Please leave your message after the beep.
Yeah, trendsetter. Whoa.
If you run out of ideas, try using a slur. It sounds like this.
And I found this other one, which is like also like totally innocent. It's this young girl who does like dad jokes, right?
I don't rise and shine. I caffeinate and hope.
You want the comments say under this? Awesome. Blow up my foreskin like a balloon.
Oh, look. 5,512 likes.
Yeah, hilarious. Fist me.
Huge storms will be coming to the United States over the next couple of weeks, and a lot of these will be crashing into the west coast of the United States, where there could be some significant rainfall and as well as high winds. Notice this on the jet stream. As we go into Wednesday and Thursday of this week, we are going to have a very strong Pacific jet stream. And what that means is that these low pressure systems that are going to be riding right off to the north side of this jet stream are going to crash right into the west coast of the United States from Washington and Oregon. rainfall out of this particular event, and you can blame this very strong ridge or omega block weather pattern that we have ongoing across the Great Plains, because this is basically blocking any of these storms from going any further to the east than the Rocky Mountains. So this is a big deal as we go throughout the rest of this week and as well as into early next week. But by the time we go into around February 6th and 7th, I do think this weather pattern will start to turn more into a more active weather pattern for the remainder of the United States, and then the West Coast should start to quiet down as we go into the second week of February. This is a better look at it on the future radar. Our first storm will arrive on Wednesday with plenty of rainfall across the west coast of the United States. We'll have another strong storm likely entering in as we go into the weekend, if not early next week, and that should dump additional rainfall. In terms of rainfall over the next 3 to 5 days, nothing too significant overall. Most areas 1 to 3 inches of rain, some isolated spots near 4 to 5 inches in Northern California. But with a secondary storm early next week, we very easily could see a lot more than that as we go into next week. But this is a little bit more uncertain. Stay tuned. Make sure you're following the page, and we will keep you posted with the latest. Huge storms will be coming to the United States over the next couple of weeks, and a lot of these will be crashing into the west coast of the United States, where there could be some significant rainfall and as well as high winds. Notice this on the jet stream. As we go into Wednesday and Thursday of this week, we are going to have a very strong Pacific jet stream. And what that means is that these low pressure systems that are going to be riding right off to the north side of this jet stream are going to crash right into the west coast of the United States, from Washington and Oregon back through areas in California. And we are going to see a lot of rainfall out of this particular event, and you can blame this very strong ridge or omega block weather pattern that we have ongoing across the Great Plains, because this is basically blocking any of these storms from going any further to the east than the Rocky Mountains. So this is a big deal as we go throughout the rest of this week and as well as into early next week. But by the time we go into around February 6th and 7th, I do think this weather pattern will start to turn more into a more active weather pattern for the remainder of the United States, and then the West Coast should start to quiet down as we go on.
Mr. Beast and Elon Musk. Remember how last week there were all those people that were like, oh my god, Mr. Beast just slammed Elon Musk, humiliated him in public. My response was, no, that's literally not what happened. Well, we just got confirmation that I was right, which is my favorite thing to be. Because all that had happened was Elon Musk said, hey, Jimmy, maybe post videos here. Mr. Beast just said, that wouldn't make monetary sense with things as they are right now. Elon then later saying that he was working on ways to increase creator payout. So yesterday, Mr. Beast said, hey, let's test this out. Let's get the data. And he uploaded his video called $1 car versus $100 million car. In writing, I'm curious how much ad revenue a video on X would make, so I'm re-uploading this to test it. We'll share ad rev next week. That video was uploaded last September. It got 211 million views. And as of recording, the video on Twitter has 61.2 million views. But, as we always talk about with X, that is a public-facing, overly inflated number, so we actually have no idea how many people have consumed this content. So we'll have to see how much or how little Mr. Beast makes from this. So there's also chatter of if the numbers are actually going to be real or not. Or some thinking Musk's just going to throw some extra cash Jimmy's way, so all of a sudden it kind of turns into this big promotion. And all you have others saying, no, the numbers are going to humiliate Musk. But regardless, it does make sense that this is happening, especially with this happening during like this big time of change regarding creators making money with their video content. But follow to stay in the loop. Mr. Beast and Elon Musk. Remember how last week there were all those people that were like, oh my god, Mr. Beast just slammed Elon Musk.
You wake up to find death sitting on your bed, petting your sleeping dog softly. Funny thing with mortals is their time isn't always set in stone. Look after this dog. You and him are more important than you can know. See you in 3 years. Death came the way death always does, silent and without warning. I didn't believe it the first time I saw him. A trick of my eyes, a shadow in the night, hunkered on the edge of my bed. I watched the shadow move, watched a bony hand slip out and pet my dog. He smoothed his fleshless thumb between my dog's ears. I had stood there, wavering, wondering if this is how it meant to go crazy. But death just smiled at me. Death is always smiling, but this was an impossible smile on a skull mask. A smile of warmth. He tilted his head back and regarded me, his eyeless sockets lightless and eternal. Look after this dog, he had said, his voice rattling like chains over stone. My dog just looked up at him in mild surprise. She was a good girl, even if she was going gray. Even if she was getting slower and slower every day. She still had her golden puppy face, even if I was the only one who could see it. I couldn't believe that. Earlier that day, I had been so irritated with her for pissing in the house.
You just had a heart attack, I guess.
Like it was her fault. Who are you? I whispered.
Whoa.
Death kept petting my dog. He
What is
said,
this?
no mortal's time is set in stone, yours or hers. Then Death stood, tall as fate. An hourglass appeared in his palm. It had only a few grains of sand left in it. As I watched, sand fell from the top of the
it
glass,
must be up
refilling
there.
it, pouring more time in. Death said, prove you have earned this extra time. The hourglass
Jesus,
disappeared,
that's
and a vision
loud.
appeared in its place. A circle of light and color floated over his hand, and as I watched it coalesced into a vision. A car, slamming through the wall of my house. Some drunk driver, destroying my life in a single swerving move. You might, he said, want to move. And then, that suddenly, he vanished. A cloud dissolving into vapor. My dog sat up straighter and let out a snort of surprise. I hurried over to her and felt her head, her collar, trying to make sure it wasn't some crazy bastard, that I hadn't somehow imagined the whole thing. But there was graveyard dirt in her fur, the depression death left on the edge of my bed. It was all real. And that day, I learned the weight of a day. It was the weight of Rosie's body as I yanked her off the bed and said, low and hissing and feeling stupid, "Come on, girl." But I didn't feel so stupid when I heard the metal hit brick, the shriek of wheels, trying to find traction on lawn. Rosie and I survived that day. The driver did too, after a few anxious hours in the ICU. I never forgot death. That skull hovered at the back of my mind every day. Every day was an extra gift. When Rosie woke me early in the morning, wanting to go out, I was no longer irritated. The times got earlier and earlier the older she got. She moved slower and slower. Her golden fur faded to white. I would sit and watch the sun come up with her. Her warm, heavy head leaning into my leg anchored me. How do you measure 3 years? I measured it in games of fetch, in long nights curled up on the couch, in our walks that got shorter and shorter as her arthritis got worse and worse. In the day we went to the dog park and met Jules and my world became a little more complete. I measured it in the times that her breathing shortened into wheezing. In the times that she collapsed, spasming on the ground. In the times I went to the vet and learned words like congestive heart failure and syncope. In the times I spent lying beside her, waiting for her heart to catch up with her brain. I measured it in the times she sat up, wagging her tail almost apologetically when she woke up again. In all the times Jules held me while I cried and imagined the sand ticking down to the bottom of the hourglass. I measured it in the time she didn't get up as quickly as the last. I measured it in her pale gums, the fleeting oxygen in her system. Until today, the last day, the heaviest day. That day is heavier than all the last put together, but I knew it was coming. I watched the clock wind down. I watched Rosie slow like a wind-up toy. I know there is no spinning her back up again. When I bring her to the vet, I already know who would be there. Jules is at work, and I am alone with Rosie. Like we are just children again. Like I am some college kid finding a hopeful puppy at the shelter. Our whole lives were about to unfurl, and we had no idea. I hold her like she is still a pup. Like the past 15 years of our life have never touched us. While I wait for the vet, death appears. I can't bear to look at him. The dark shade in the corner of my eye. Watching us both. Do you understand now? He murmurs. Why you received this extra time. I think of all the people Rosie brought joy to. Not just me. Not just Jules. Not just the life we shaped together. The mailman who brought Rosie a treat almost every day. The neighbor who always popped out of her house to rub Rosie's head when she walked by. The neighborhood children who would beg to play with her, because she was too toothless and gentle to hurt any of them. Yes, I say, death watches me. And what have you learned? It isn't for me. It was always for her. 3 years with Rosie was worth an eternity. And I know what it means to say goodbye. I take a shaky inhale and tell death that every day with her was a gift. Not just when you came. Every day. That is what it means to own a pet. To love and lose. And it was worth every moment of it. Death inclines his head in a nod. You did pay attention, he says. I squeeze my eyes shut. Tears chase down my cheeks. Even now, Rosie tilts her tired head up to lick them away. The door swings open. Death vanishes like a blink. The vet looks at me, her eyes full of apologies. She carries a tray with a hypodermic needle. Are you ready? The vet says, ready as we'll ever be. I whisper back. Rosie doesn't understand, and I'm glad she doesn't. She will spend her last moments knowing nothing but love. The safe circle of my arms. I will hold her until all our time is gone. Until the very last grain slips to the bottom of the hourglass. She was a good girl, after all.
God damn it, that made me cry.
Petting your sleeping dog softly. Funny thing with mortals is their time isn't always set in stone.
So talk the history of alcoholism.
This video of this guy who woke
Dog
up in a movie
stories.
theater after everybody had already left is going viral. When he had originally got to the theater, it was packed. But after waking up, everybody was gone. So he heads towards the lobby, but no one's there. I guess they figured they'd let the morning crew clean up, which is pretty weird, especially because the arcade is still left on. Usually they turn that type of stuff off before they leave. But the dude was confused because nobody was there. So he tries to go down to his car in the parking garage. He looked around for a little bit and eventually found where his car was parked, but it was missing. He thought it was weird because how could a tow truck get down there? So he thought he'd walk to where maybe the car exits are, and then he'd be able to figure out what to do from there. And that's when he found a bike just laying on this ramp. So he figured maybe somebody was around, so he went back upstairs to where he started from. And this is where it gets really weird. If it was me, I would start to think that I was in the back rooms. This video of this guy who woke up in a movie theater after everybody had already left.
China's stock market lost $6 trillion since 2021. So the government's putting $278 billion in to save it. Because of that news, Chinese stocks have rebounded. China's Premier Li Qiang said on Monday that it would step up mid- and long-term fund injection in the capital market to strengthen stability and promote healthy development. But this is a small band-aid on a much bigger wound. China had a lot of money to dish out. They lent the developing world about $1.1 trillion, and those debts are due. Unfortunately, the developing world can't pay those debts back. Home foreclosures in China have increased by over 40% last year. Consumer confidence has plummeted along with the growing deflation that has been infecting their economy for almost a year. If you want to get a measure for how bad things are, BlackRock is selling Shanghai office towers at a 30% discount. The ironic thing is that even though foreclosures have increased in China, property inventories have been skyrocketing. China has a population of 1.4 billion people, but they've built so many homes that even that number can't fill them all. One estimate states that China has built enough homes to fit 3 billion people. Why were so many homes built in China? To increase the GDP. China has all the materials that it needs in order to construct homes, apartments, what have you. Concrete, wood, glass, wires, whatever you call it, are cheap on their own. Once you combine them all and build real estate, their value skyrockets. And then you put the value of that real estate you just built at the average national value for that size. It is an incredible way to make your economic output look like this. China did not just do this with real estate, they also overbuilt when it came to manufacturing. Because China is the world's factory and they've overproduced, global inventories are swelling now because of China's economic slowdown. When manufacturing inventories rise and they don't go down for a long time, that means anyone working those manufacturing jobs will eventually lose those jobs. But as long as China can keep their food supply at the right levels, then I think in time they can handle all of this. They are the #1 food importer in the world, and most of their food imports, I believe, come from Brazil. The United States is China's #2 food supplier, which keeps them even that much more dependent on us. And I'm sure a lot of you have heard about China's population crisis. Let's go into that a little bit more. In order to have a growing population, you need to have 2 children per woman. Anything less than that means you will start to have a population decline. The United States has a fertility rate of 1.64 children per woman. That's bad. But immigration fixes that problem for Japan does not have a generous immigration policy. Their fertility rate is 1.34, so they are dealing with a population collapse. China's is even lower. 1.28 births per woman as of 2020. It may be lower now. In 2023, there were 9 million births, but 11.1 million deaths, meaning that China's population has already been declining. This is what we call a population pyramid, a very healthy one. It's India's. The bottom of the pyramid is the youngest people, the top is the oldest people. You want the fattest part of your pyramid to be right here. You're looking at China's population pyramid. You can see that the vast bulk of the population are nearing or after retirement age. There are also not enough women in China. This is the population proportion of boys, this is the population proportion of girls. There are about 200 million Chinese women of a healthy birthing age. If each of them automatically decided to have 3 children back to back in 20 years, that 600 million new people entering the workforce would not be enough to replace what's been lost. But I don't think there's going to be some dramatic collapse like the Great Depression. The world economy relies way too heavily on China to let something like that happen, and I think everyone, including the US, would step in to help. I'm the Geo Husar, and I don't always respond to your comments because I get several thousand of them a day. Thanks for watching, and if you find this post useful, give me a follow. China's stock market.
This is world changing. It's incredible. Not the song itself. The song itself is dookie butt, right? And that's a fact. I get it. But here's what you should draw from it. It sucks. And millions of people think that it doesn't. Don't think about how smart those millions of people are, because it kind of ruins my point. But just the millions of people like it. So now you have no excuse not to release your art. Whether you're in a band, solo, musician, doesn't even have to be music related. It could be drawing. You know, who cares? Trick question. Somebody cares. Post it, upload it, full send, advertise on your Instagram story for everyone. Play the music. Not this music, it sucks. It doesn't matter how poorly planned out.
In the last 10 minutes, Elon Musk has confirmed that the first ever human being now has the Neuralink implanted in their brain. For those of you that don't remember or don't know what Neuralink is, it is literally a chip that is going to be installed in your brain created by Elon Musk. Now it looks to be this plate right here with these little micro electronics attaching to parts of your brain. And then I don't know if this is like a pacemaker. I don't know what this is. But Elon Musk got this approved by the FDA, and now they just successfully installed this in their first ever human being, basically setting us up to become robots. Now, I went on their website to see if I could even qualify to get the Neuralink in my brain. The first question was, are you currently a legal adult of 18? Yes. Are you a US citizen? Yes. But here's where it gets tricky. It tried to answer no to question 3, and it literally would not let me apply apply after that, so I just went ahead and said yes and saw what it took me to. But the question 3 is, do you have any of the following conditions? Quadriplegia, paraplegia, visual impairment, blindness, aphasia, or the inability to speak, hearing impairment or deafness, major limb amputation affecting above or below the elbow or knee. So people that don't have any of these things going on cannot even apply to get this. But if you do have any of those conditions that they just listed, are you going to trust Elon Musk to put this chip in your brain? In the last 10 minutes, Elon...
Absolutely. I can't wait to get a neural interface. That'll be freaking amazing.
This swamp puppy. Mr. Crocodile's coming in hot. I think he's about to yoink me. But he's just curious and he's saying hi to me. Yellow rat snake, yoink. I ended up getting yoinked by this sweetheart. He got me.
Choose the Sharingan, you'll... Most people are not even aware that there is a consciousness shift happening. Go, Fox Palms!
Yeah! Your turn.
If you haven't figured it out yet, I'm...
Iron Deficiency Gang, stand up! Oh. Iron Deficiency Gang, stand up! Oh.
Hey, did you know that dating app...
Sure, we haven't gone over that in a while. Let's talk about it. This person's asking...
Alright everybody, so it's morning, and everybody's real excited to see this, so I'm going to do this before I go to work. Just real quick though, so I've got other cathodes, and this is kind of an example of what I usually see. Right, you see it's kind of branchy, or they're kind of core-like. I've gotten some that are kind of fuzzy, but you can see how the crystals are kind of even when they come out, and they come out at about 30 degrees or so. So, if we get down in here, there's definitely some stuff going on. This branch up here off the side, that's not normal, because there's no other branch to go with it. The development on the edges is kind of slow and steady, but it's all growing up on the spines, like we saw last night. So,
what's a coincidence that you think about a lot? I'll go first.
Here's mine. In 1995, when I was 12 years old, my 2 older sisters found a...
How long do you think until they officially announce World War III? Because, like, it's literally how...
Hello, I'm a World War I historian. Like, it's my special interest. I went to college for it. You can see, like, I'm currently researching to write a book. The parallels between what happened right before World War I and at the beginning of World War I and what is happening right now. It's really discouraging and, like, uncannily similar. Right before the First World War, there was a cultural obsession with, like, we're becoming too soft. Peacetime has made people, like, forget what humanity is supposed to be about. It's made us weak. A good war wouldn't hurt anybody. It would only make us stronger. And I've been seeing so many military recruitment billboards in my town where, like, I've just never seen that kind of billboard before. Britain had a propaganda department that they set up right at the beginning of World War I because they knew that they were going to need to, like, spin the narrative a certain way for people to sign up. And while people were signing up, they used the regular army, which is the, like, standing army that people are in even when there's not technically a war going on. So while the new people, the new enlisted troops were training, they had the regular army go to France and, you know, try to do war the way that they've done war for the past however many decades, hundreds of years. Of course, it very soon became clear that this war was not like the other wars that they had done before because this war had machine guns and like large artillery and shells that exploded that were full of, like, tiny nails and stuff. Like, all these mechanical advancements that nobody had really used before, and even if they had during, like, the Boer War, the war that came before the First World War, they were like, yeah, the machine gun's really for, like, you know, people that don't have any other weapons, like, we can just get rid of them really fast. It's always going to come down to men and horses. Obviously, that was not true because they had all this industrialized death happening in front of them, and they were like, "Whoa, we've never seen anything like this before. This isn't war. This is something else." So that's the precedent that we're dealing with, and to me, we're seeing that same kind of mentality of like, we're soft. We need, we need to go back to the time when like men were men, etc. And then also at the same time, we're dealing with the new technological advancements, which are just like so horrifying they don't bear thinking about. And if we go into combat with them, it's gonna be much different than we expect it's going to be. But the propaganda department, the British propaganda department at the beginning of World War I, it's functioning almost exactly the same as like our government and social media, like the big players or whatever are like promoting this type of information that's obviously just like not true. And another thing at the start of World War I, before that, most people didn't know who like was leading their country. They were kind of like, they knew who their like local leaders were, but they didn't, especially in England, like rural England, they knew who their local like leaders were, but they didn't know anything about like the king, or except that there was a king, and they were like, woo, England. But then as the war progressed, they were seeing this discrepancy between what was actually happening versus what the newspapers were saying. So the press was no longer this like neutral thing that they could trust where anything it said was true. And I think we are also kind of like just reaching another cycle of that, like looking at it and being like, wait a minute, nothing y'all are saying is true. But now we also kind of have the like means and the context and the precedents to know that. And also we have this means of sharing information much more rapidly. So my feeling is that they're going to have to try and find a way to deal with that if they, want to counteract that and have it happen the same way as World War I did. Anyway, there's too many parallels for me to talk. I could talk about it all day. It's just terrifying. It's just really, it's just terrifying.
How long do you think until they officially announce World War III? Because, like, it's literally happening.
Hello.
In a few weeks, we're flying one of you out to Salt Lake City. We will pay for your plane ticket. We'll put you up in a hotel.
I think I'm gonna cry. I just saw the song.
Who's your 5 hall passes?
I don't think we've ever had an... Over 130,000 years ago, just outside of the city of Altamira in Italy, a man fell down this hole. While he was human, he wasn't our species. He was a Neanderthal. And in 1993, a group of cavers would discover the dark corridor in which this Neanderthal died. It's interesting to think about how different this man's life would have been back then. But it's also so oddly familiar and kind of creepy to think about the fact that, like, this man fell down a sinkhole. He lived down there for a while. He couldn't get out. There was no escape. He was in the dark. And based on the evidence, he eventually just died up against the side of the wall in that tunnel. You'll find his legs today at the bottom of the pile, his pelvis up above that. Then you'll find some other bones, and then you'll find the skull resting at the very top upside down. The last part to decay and fall. The skeleton is still down there in that tunnel today because there is no safe way to get it out. It has become one with the cave. It has been fused into the cave as concretions have formed around it. And all of those bumps you see along it, that's from water droplets. They call it cave popcorn. Over hundreds of thousands of years, as the water has been dropping on him from the cave above, the water evaporates away, but it leaves the calcite and it causes those little bubble-looking things. While that calcite covering looks weird, it also really preserved this skeleton extremely well. Look at the bones at the roof of this mouth. We always knew that this man was really old based on how long it would have taken for these concretions to form at the level they have, but more recently scientists actually went down and removed a piece of the scapula, and they were able to sequence DNA from that scapula. It's the oldest Neanderthal DNA we've ever sequenced. And they've also ran investigations that have allowed them to get really good 3D images and different scans of this skeleton, so they've been able to see things they can't see with the naked eye down there. And while they've been doing this, they've been identifying features that had never been identified in a Neanderthal before, but they had been identified in the previous
analogous species to the Neanderthals, Heidelbergensis, the last common ancestor between us and our sister group, the Neanderthals and Denisovans. So while I always mention that like technically every fossil is a transitional fossil, this is a great example of a transitional fossil. It's a really old Neanderthal fossil, and it's showing us traits that we would expect to find in an old Neanderthal fossil if they evolved from Heidelbergensis. It's kind of a mix of both. Over 130,000 years ago, just...
I'm military. I joined to serve my country, my family.
We're military. We suffer from crippling anxiety and depression, but we lie about it to our spouses.
Dude, are you okay, bro?
Yeah.
Dude, why would you say that? It's supposed to be something cool.
We're joking.
But that's scary.
Well,
That's scary. Do I have to tell Chad?
No, dude, I'm fine.
Alright, dude, let's do another one. Supposed to be something cool.
Okay, fine.
I'm military. I've been on 3 deployments and seen 12 different countries, only in 2 years.
I'm military. I spent 2011 in Iraq as a combat medic, and now I have problems sleeping.
Dude, why do you keep doing that?
What? I mean, I do.
That's it. Then you have to seriously, bro. It's supposed to be something cool over there, and that's super depressing.
But I have kids, so that's the joke.
It's very depressing. It's very depressing. I feel like people are gonna watch this,
the military
and they're not gonna like this.
Yeah,
You're probably gonna call them PTSD on them, bro. Another one. I'm military. We live on military housing, where it's like a gated community. My kids can run around because it's safe.
I'm military. I have to make sure I maintain my counseling appointments and mental health, so I don't end up a homeless veteran.
Dude.
What?
Forget it, man.
What?
We can't do this anymore.
What?
Dude, it's embarrassing, and you know what people are gonna do.
They don't have social media because they probably don't have cell phones.
Oh,
Like, dude,
why would you say that? You know what? No, we're done. I'm military. I joined to serve my country, my family.
Hey guys, John Robinson here, and there's a heck of a lot of Americans making up their mind not to pay taxes on income this year. So let me give you a video that'll really help out. You can explain this.
Do you want a refreshing app with no childish or censored content? It's called America's Best Picks and Videos, and it's your go-to app for more adult content. It also has a strong community of people where you can speak freely with less censorship, and the content is strictly tailored to your preferences. Whether it's your hobbies or politics, you'll always see what you want to see. Open the App Store or Google Play Store. Search A.
So Taylor Swift has been trending this week. What's new? But surprisingly, it has not been in conjunction with the NFL and Travis Kelce, which has basically been the case for the past few months. It feels like that's where we've all gotten our glimpse of Taylor Swift. The reason why Taylor is trending right now is because of her stalker, David Crow. Here he is in all of his glory. Since November, he has showed up to her New York apartment in Tribeca over 30 times. He's harassed her security, he's harassed people passing by her street, he's tried to break in, and recently, he went dumpster diving in her trash. And apparently he's doing all of this because she has a pair of his pants.
Where are my pants?
Now, after months of complaints from her team, from her security, New York PD finally arrested him this week. But unsurprisingly, he was immediately released.
Shit!
And guess what? He went right back to Taylor's apartment. So they arrested him again. Here's a post from Popbase. Taylor Swift's alleged new stalker has been arrested for the second time in 3 days, TMZ reports. He was first arrested on Saturday after showing up to the front door of her New York City apartment, and again today after he was seen less than a block away from the apartment. And here he is in the back of the squad car again. And wow, guys, what did they do after they arrested him? Oh, they released him immediately. Yet again. So what did he do, guys? Let's say it with me. He went back to the apartment immediately. This is from Pop Grave. Taylor Swift's stalker has been arrested for the third time in 5 days. You would found yourself scrolling.
Breaking news! It is now being reported that one of the largest data leaks ever discovered has occurred. So here's how to check if you've been affected. Today, researchers found that a massive 26 billion personal records had been exposed in what they call the mother of all breaches, with Zuck commenting rookie numbers. This is the list of the companies affected, which include the likes of Twitter, LinkedIn, Dropbox, MyFitnessPal, Adobe, Canva, and the list goes on. So researchers claim that this breach is extremely dangerous and could prompt a tsunami of cybercrime, including identity theft and unauthorized access to your personal and sensitive accounts. Now, regardless if you care about any of these accounts, listed usernames and password combinations were found in the leak. So if you're using the same ones elsewhere, you are being advised to change them and use two-factor authentication.
Breaking news tonight, Iranian militants striking a British ship with a missile. That ship now on fire and in danger of sinking tonight. The Iranian-backed Houthi militants striking a British oil tanker, setting it ablaze. A U.S. ship rushing to answer the distress call. Here's Martha Raddatz.
Tonight, a troubling escalation. Iran-backed Houthi rebels attacking a British oil tanker in the Gulf of Aden, leaving the ship ablaze and reportedly at risk of sinking, the crew abandoning the tanker. Tonight, the destroyer USS Carney and a French warship are on their way to assist the Marlin Luanda, damaged by an anti-ship ballistic missile. Houthi rebels have launched nearly 36 attacks on commercial and Navy ships to show solidarity with Palestinians in Gaza. The chairman of the Joint Chiefs telling me today that the 9 retaliatory strikes the U.S. has already carried out against the Houthis are designed so as not to cause a wider war. When you walk this fine line of not wanting it to escalate, what would you say to those people who are your critics who would say, look, they're not being tough enough on these militants. They're not being tough enough on Iran.
I would also ask, do they want a broader conflict? Do you want us in a full-scale war? That's the goal, is to deter them, and we don't want to go down a path of greater escalation that drives to a much broader conflict within the region.
What is clear tonight is that deterrence is thus far not working, and in fact, these attacks on commercial ships are only getting worse.
Breaking news tonight, Iranian militants striking a British ship with a missile. That ship now on fire and in danger of sinking.
Only a true God would deny his divinity. Well, that is the great delusion. The one that lies at the heart of that book. And that delusion was mine. I was the one who contorted reason to produce that lie. I was the one who needed it to be true, or else all my beliefs would collapse into ruin, as will yours. These followers of this cult, they will defy us unto death. That is their nature. In small numbers they are helpless, but in large enough gatherings they will be a threat. Belief is contagious. Given a chance, this cult would have spread over worlds and beyond. Callia Veston and all her kind must be exterminated. But here is the paradox. Though these people will die for the Emperor, though they will fight us to their final breath, they also represent the end of the Emperor's dream. They are what he tried to destroy on Monarchia. They are everything the Imperial Creed stands against. The Emperor's most devout followers will, if they can, be the ruin of his hopes, and their holy book is my doing. But here, at least, I have destroyed what I have created, what I once sought most fervently to create. I echo my father's actions, and the ironies compound. The contradictions seem irresolvable. I must make war on a religion whose foundations I have laid, and whose followers reverently mouth my words. There is no space now for me to untangle these paradoxes. The urgencies of war will not allow it, but I will learn the full meaning of this mystery. If I have to extinguish life from the galaxy to carve out that time, then I will. If I have to wait until eternity passes before I can mediate on the full meaning of what has transpired, then I will. But I will understand. I will know revelation. Only a true God would deny his divinity.
I just want to let you know, we are all aware of what
And what is he doing with the knife? Hello? Okay, no way the tail tastes the best, right? No, I mean, they shouldn't even be doing this. What is this, bro? They're blending it out. Oh my god. What is that? That's too far. Fire in the pants aphrodisiac. What does that even mean?
You need these in your base. These are the best merchants you can capture.
One of my kids was so helpful today. They cleaned the litter box using the vacuum. The litter box is completely clean, and the inside of the vacuum is a litter piss brick. My wife tried to clean it out, and it didn't work. It didn't work even a little bit. The litter is now harder than the bricks of the pyramids.
I don't know who needs to hear this right now, but Woo! I don't know who needs to hear this right now, but Woo! I don't know who needs to hear this right now, but
Bro looks ridiculous. When a supervillain kidnapped you, you expected to be tortured. What you got was them apologizing for getting the wrong person. I felt the robotic hand. I felt the hood slip over my head. And I felt the needle hit my neck.
My son trolled my microphone.
I have a little bit of an issue. I'm trying to grind for FNCS and find a serious duo partner. I got this new Go XLR mic thing, and I could not figure out how to set it up. So my son helped me hook it up, and he said he was going to hook it up through my TikTok alerts and link it all together. I said, okay, that's cool. So he did. But for some reason now, when anybody sends a Gus the Groundhog, it changes my voice. And I've lost 2 duo partners now because they say I'm trolling and I'm not trying hard and I'm not focused on getting earnings. So if y'all see me live, join the live. If you see me talking like a chipmunk, this is why. This is what happens. Watch. Anytime anyone sends this,
it literally changes my voice to this. So I'm over here playing FNCS, and I'm like, hey guys, let's crank up on height and box up. No, there's people on us. And then my partner's like...
A video of a dude using a microscope on ramen noodles has gone viral because of what he finds in the ramen noodles. So he puts it down on his microscope so we can take a deeper look. And what it looks like we have right here are little mites. Alright? These are nasty little buggers, and they're all over the place. Now, people are torn between 2 sides. One side is ramen noodles are absolutely delicious, and the other side being this video has ruined my love for ramen noodles. Now, you're probably thinking that when you boil the noodles, it kills the mites. That all depends on the mites that are in your noodles. Though boiling water is an effective method for killing...
Oh my goodness, the shrimp, please.
Oh, Brenda, yes! You did it!
You have learned quickly and produced splendid butter. Are you sure you have not churned before?
Well, we don't call it China where I come from.
Oh, Brenda, yes! This is a major emergency alert, your World War III update. If you've not already heard, unfortunately, the inevitable has happened. It's hit the fan. 3 American troops lost their lives, as well as 34 wounded, 8 in critical condition, after a major attack, one of the biggest in some period of time, on an American military base that borders Jordan and Syria. This is a very well-defended base with multi-layered air defense, and that data point will become more significant as I expound on the details of exactly what happened there. But just know that this came in the run-up to a war between Hezbollah and Israel, okay? So somebody is sending a message by this. I think it's the IRGC just saying, hey, We can hit your bases, we can hit your air bases, we can hit your most well-fortified positions if we want to. So think twice about starting a war with Hezbollah. Now, the Iranian forces are on the highest state of alert. They're on maximum combat readiness. They are anticipating a major retaliatory strike from the U.S. Air Force. Now, right now, as you can see behind me on this map, this flight radar map, the U.S. Air Force has 9 Stratotankers in the air at the time of making this video. 6 are en route from California, heading to England, and there's another 3 up in the air between the Middle East and Europe. And it's expected that these are all going to be heading to the Middle East. Right now, the skies over Syria and Iraq, as you can expect, and Jordan are all empty because they're anticipating a major counterattack. This is a major emergency alert, your World War III update. If you've not already heard, unfortunately, the inevitable has happened. It's hit the fan.
What's the best part about having a hooker die on you? What? The second hour is free.
You are shaking the table so hard that you're going to spill it.
That's real.
Sample wants a deal.
You like that one? Yeah. Thank you.
Finally. Okay.
What's the best part about having a hooker die on you?
What?
The second hour is free.
You are shaking the table so hard that you're going to spill it.
That's real.
Sample wants a deal.
You like that one? Yeah. Thank you. What's the best part about having a hooker die on you?
I think you're quite charming, Paul. Let's see where this divine connection leads us.
I think I know exactly where this divine connection should lead us. Julianne, you sweet woman, would you do me the honors of marrying me in the name of Jesus Christ and the Heavenly Father? You would make me the happiest Christian anyone's ever seen.
Would it be acceptable if we took some time to get to know each other better before making any decision?
What more is there to do? You have been chosen by Jesus Christ and the Holy Spirit to marry me.
Please, perhaps you drank too much.
No.
I thought we agreed to take our time getting to know each other.
We did! I'm just saying, you should marry me. This isn't that hard of a decision to make.
Paul, please calm down.
I am calm!
As for your proposal, I need some time to think and pray about it.
Of course, I know. We all need to pray. I'm sorry for my outburst. I'll see you tomorrow at work. Have a good night. I'm sorry. Hey, it's good to see you. Have you had any more time to pray and think?
Yes, I'm glad to see you too. And no, I haven't had much time to pray and think. I apologize, but I've been quite busy with work.
If it's a no, just tell me now. Will you marry me? Yes or no? That's it. I don't want another word from you besides a yes or a no.
I think you're quite charming, Paul. Let's see where this divine connection leads us.
I think I know exactly where this divine connection should.
There's a reason I have a lot of loop moons here in my box. That's because I have this guy. This loop moon has Musclehead, which increases its attack by 30% and lowers its work speed. But disregard that. We don't care about that. I already leveled it to 1 star. In order to basically level it even more, you need a condenser. Hal Essence Condenser is a lot.
Oh, corpse. Waitress is coming, honey. Make sure you know what you want.
Yes, mother, I'm ready.
All right, thank you, sweetheart. Hi, guys. My name's Becky. I'll be your server. What can I get started for you? Yes, I'll have the house salad with vinaigrette. Trying to slim down some pounds, you know. And whatever corpse wants. Uh-huh. Perfect. And for you, young man.
I would like chicken tenders.
Yeah, that's his voice. But I don't,
I would also like a Mountain Dew.
All right, you're having a fairly standard reaction, sweetheart. My recommendation, go sit down somewhere, splash some cold water on your face. It'll make it a little easier to process 4-year-old Vin Diesel over here. Okay, bye. All right, bye. Say bye, corpse.
Bye, Becky. Is she okay?
Yeah, she's gonna be fine. Some people just aren't prepared for you.
3 days later.
Hi, guys. Welcome back. Oh, hi, Becky.
Hello, Becky.
Oh, hi, corpse. That's still a little freaky. Anyway, what can I get for you guys? Oh, I'm gonna have the avocado toast and a coffee. Okay, and for you, corpse?
I wish to devour the unborn.
Eggs. He wants eggs. Uh-huh. Okay.
The unborn.
She gets it, corpse. Oh, corpse. Waitress is coming, honey. Make sure you know what you want.
Yes, mother, I'm ready.
All right, thank you, sweetheart. Hi, guys. My name's Becky. I'll be your server. What can I get started for you?
Once we were married, I thought you would grow up a bit and mature up and stop doing this crap to me, okay? I'm done. I am done with it.
Sorry.
No, I'm going.
Okay, it was stupid of me. I'm sorry. Hey, no, I'm sorry.
Okay, my Uber's here.
No, can I just explain myself? I'm sorry. I thought it would be funny. I didn't mean to hurt your feelings. I'm sorry. I didn't want to ignore you. It's just I couldn't just say happy anniversary and then I don't know why I thought it would be good. I'm sorry, babe. Can you just know? Can you cancel the Uber, please? Boy, don't look at me like that. I am mature. I do care about you.
Once we were married, I thought you would grow up.
I kinda look like I've shaved, right? This is my hairline, guys. A whole hand can fit here. Like, god damn it, that's a big forehead. You'd think that this is a receded hairline. But trust me, it's just a forehead, guys. Look, this is what I'm working with. And before you start with the jokes, I want you to remember that this is where the knowledge you lack is processed. Don't call me head of department. This is a whole CPU, my friend. Okay? I need to clarify that because anytime I have cornrows on, kuna watu wanaonani kama wanafaa kuanza jokes. Don't try me. I will get highly offended. Okay? But wow, this is not funny. Like even a wig cannot fix this. If I put a wig on, it's gonna have to go here. So I still have all this. I don't call it place here airplane. I know that joke. Don't even say it. I swear to God, I will come for you and your ancestors. Don't. I kinda look like I've shaved, right? This is my hairline, guys. A whole hand can fit here. Like, god damn it, that's a big forehead.
Everyone fucking around with the AI filter and then thinking that it doesn't look like them, but then everyone going, oh no, it looks exactly like you, is learning this really fun thing that I learned after losing 75 pounds in 6 months and then trying some interesting substances. I was on a Zoom call for my friend's birthday during lockdown, and I had lost all this weight. And I'm looking at everyone in the Zoom call, and there's this guy that I don't recognize, and I'm like, who the fuck is this handsome man? Who is this handsome man? And then I realized it was me. And I was like, whoa, what the fuck? Because I was looking at my own face for probably 30 seconds and did not realize I was looking right at my own face. So then obviously after that, my autistic ass was like, why the fuck could I not recognize my own face? That seems alarming. It's pretty simple. So usually when you look at things, you're not actually looking at them. I mean, you are, but your brain, it fills in the gaps most of the time. Like, it's like a zip file. Everything's a zip file. It's just, everything's compressed. It just guesses a lot of the time. Because there's no point. There's no point. You've seen your face a billion times. Why every time you look at your face do you have to, like, do it in full HD? So what your brain does instead is just, like, you look at your face, your brain tells you you're looking at your face, and you don't worry about it too much. It's weird. When you lose a lot of weight really, really fast, your face does actually change, but then your brain cannot recognize it because your face changes about every 10 pounds, so it's like 7.5 face changes in a compressed period of time. Everyone fucking around with the AI filter and then thinking that it doesn't look like them, but then everyone going, oh no, it looks exactly like you, is learning this really fun thing that I learned.
Have you finished the conquest? Not yet, Desire. Then why do you summon me? I bring news. Before mighty Darkseid came to the throne, he searched the universe for the ultimate weapon. The anti-life equation. The key to controlling all life and all will throughout the multiverse. He found it hidden on a multi-life equation is carved.
If you love sniping, then you'll love this free.
So that was 24 episodes of Mashoko Tensei Jobless Reincarnation Season 1. That is a mouthful. Wow. So, BB, what do you... I have so many conflicting emotions. I don't like that you're making a regular habit of interrupting me, but I get it. I know what you're going to say. I just need you to get through the good things first. So what did you like? And then we can get to the big old glaring red flag.
Mashoko Tensei has some absolutely beautiful animation, a gorgeous soundtrack. I especially love how they do the anime opening. Because as other anime openings play, you see scenes almost kind of like they're spoiling you of what's going to happen throughout the season if you pay close enough attention. And with Mashoko Tensei, they have this really beautiful, almost melancholic music playing as the characters are doing something, whether they're traveling, training with magic. It's really interesting, and it's the first time I've ever seen it done, and I absolutely love it. I really like former Isekai protagonist Paul, because he's a mixture of kind of an upstanding good dude who wants to do right by his kid, but also kind of a cheating scumbag. Well, that's kind of why I like him, because the anime doesn't make Paul this paragon of virtue that Rudius has to try to reach. Oh, I want to be just like my dad. No, that Paul's just... He's kind of a hero, but he's also a regular dude. And he's a sleazeball. I like that. I love how magic is used in this universe. It's very stunning to look at. And this universe is absolutely brutal. I like that Rudius at first thinks, oh my god, transport another world. Then he sees someone die in front of him for the first time, and he almost has a panic attack of basically, oh no, this is real. This is really real. I could actually die again, but in a way more painful way. I love the journey throughout the Demon Continent. I like that. I still really don't kind of know what's going on. Like, Man God just looks like Slender Man, and he kind of spooks me and gives me the squinty eyes. I'll talk about Ghislaine in a different video, but in short, she should be allowed to commit crimes, and she makes me go awooga. I also super like that they kept Rudius' trauma from when he was originally alive, and not just, hey, I'm reborn, now I'm all better, and I have no flaws. I really, really appreciate that he still had to take steps to get over that trauma. I do have more good things to say, but I'll save that for a different time. Right now, oh my... I came this close. I came this close to not finishing this because of Rudius. I completely understand people dropping this because they can't get over Rudius. Like, maybe it's because of all the other anime you've shown me in the past year. I could push past it and see all the other phenomenal qualities of this anime, but... Oh, Rudius is rough. Rudius is rough. Why does little boy Rudius still have his 40-year-old monologue voice? Oh, that's what... I hate it. I hate it. I hate it so much. There are just so many scenes in the very beginning that I was just like, I don't know if I can do this. This is a lot. And the scene's just dragging on. Please make it stop. Like, I completely understand why people drop this. I get it. I really do. And I could add that I do like how they kind of ended season 1. I like that Rudius did grow throughout, and towards the end, you all kind of thought, hey, maybe the way I saw and treated women isn't the right way. And you're just like, you keep that mindset, but oh, was it ever?
Help me, boss man. I'm stuck.
Yeah, that's a good request.
What are you doing, step trucker?
They're on their way. You're making me nervous.
I need it now. I need it now, please.
The truck driver's gonna be coming soon to satisfy your needs.
Oh yeah, thank you, Daddy.
That's a Texas size 10-4.
That's a big fucking 10 for ya.
Yeah, good 10-4, real good.
Help me, boss man. I'm stuck.
Goddamn, that's a good request.
Bro, there's no way you're right about this. That's totally false.
I saw it with my own eyes.
What are you talking about? I think it's true. I know these things.
Hey, Jim. Hey, man, how long have you had this hole in your wall here? Like,
Oh, damn, what the hell?
oh, shit. I swear, I didn't see it. I was coming over here to the bathroom. Old places, you know, you get, like, termites and stuff like that, and that can, make a big hole in the wall randomly.
Come from nowhere, you know, like, what is it, like a glory hole or something like? Why would a glory hole just randomly appear?
I'm just kidding. I'm just saying, like, you know, height and diameter and stuff like that. Bro, I don't know. Oh, my God! Holy shit. Oh, shit. Holy shit. It is one. This one writes. Oh, fuck. That was not there before. This is fucking nuts. I'm not dealing with this.
No, wait. This is crazy.
Okay, so, like, what do we do? I mean, like, y'all ain't fuck with me, right? I mean, like, call 911? What are the cops gonna do? I don't know. Like,
Arrest
we just
it?
need help. Like, you know, we should just ignore it, and I'll cock it up, not intended, and we'll just leave it be, okay? I mean, right now, it's not doing any harm. Oh, fuck, bro! Oh, fuck! No fucking way! Bro, that's the logical explanation for all this, okay? That's all that there is. Like, this is a nightmare. I'm gonna wake up. This thing has one function. If we don't fulfill it,
Wake up, Brendan.
I don't know what's gonna happen. I mean, this is some sort of, like, satanic shit, like dark magic. I mean, what is, like, a portal? Like, who knows where this goes?
Could be a cosmic linchpin.
What?
Possible parallel universe.
And if we don't fulfill its demands, it could collapse this one and whichever universe is on the other side. How you figure that? I don't see this type of shit often, okay? How else would you explain it? Man, come on, not the multiverse trope again.
This shit is so played out.
Okay, I mean, one of us is gonna have to clearly appease this thing. I mean, it wants... I mean, I can guess what it would want us to do, but I don't want to... But you're not seriously considering, like, one of us actions. I don't know, man! I've never seen some sort of dark magic fuckhole appear out of nowhere on my friend's wall, and it's, like, referencing itself and has arrows and shit. Whatever it is, it's beckoning us to its will. This whole God. I'll do it, okay? I don't believe in any of this shit, okay? Pick names out of a hat. I mean, draw straws. We are not doing this. We're not equipped to deal with this, okay? We're just gonna go out and get food, and when we come back, and it'll be gone, and... Oh, shit, Brendan. Oh, fuck. Bro, that's your name. That's Brendan. That's your name. What the fuck going on? Brendan. What the fuck going on? It's calling for you. I don't want to do this, okay? I'm just gonna leave. I'm gonna go home, okay? It's an offering to save everyone in this universe and the next. It's easy for you to say, okay, bro? It's not asking you to put your in there, okay? It has to be Brendan. It has to be Brendan. Now this thing's fucking talking, dude. Like, why does it have to talk like that? Like, why does it have this accent? Why the fuck, man? Why me? That's the feel spot. It's getting to play what we got. God. Okay, it doesn't define your word. You looked at me first. No, I wasn't. You were just there. You were staring at me, so you were gawking at it. You were provoking. No, I wasn't. I didn't start staring at a hole like that. It's gonna make demands of you. It's gonna ask things of you. It has to be Brendan. It has to be Brendan. Brendan, it has to be you. Like, why me, man? Like, bro, I just remember last week, man. Like, you saying that you felt like your life never amounted to anything. You felt like you never had that one thing that you were great for, that you were meant for. Yeah, I mean, this is your moment to save everyone. In this dimension and the next. Every generation, every man has their sacrifice. Their calling. And this is mine. I never knew why they called it a glory hole. But now I do. Because on the other side of fear lies glory. Whoever is on the other side, I know they'd be grateful. They're probably just like us. Brendan, you sure about this? Oh yeah, I've seen this before. Hey Jim, you sure you got your whole mouth pressed up to the other hole in the wall upstairs? Oh, you freak! Now we wait. First man to tap out loses their universe. Bro, there's no way you're right about this. That's totally false. I saw it with my own eyes. Talking about. So I think it's true.
No, bro, I don't work nowhere. I never had a job. What if every person on this earth was black? It would be like the Planet of the Apes.
Looking over at his girlfriend.
It turns out billionaires, politicians, and economists really have just been gaslighting us for the last 3 years. Yesterday, an explosive economics report was released by a think tank out of DC confirming what you and I and everyday Americans have been screaming from the rooftops for the past 3 years. That these record high price increases that we've experienced in everything from gasoline, lumber, poultry, eggs, and diapers haven't actually been being driven up by necessities, supply chain issues, COVID recovery, or labor shortages. No. It turns out that 53% of all price increases that have quite literally bankrupted middle America have now in fact been confirmed to have been driven by one singular thing: billionaire corporate greed and their record and relentless pursuit of profits. It's as vulgar as it sounds, and I'm sorry to say the outlook doesn't look good, but let's get into this and talk about how we can still fight back and protect our households, our income, and our economy. Let's get into it. Since the start of 2020, the working and middle class of America have experienced the largest strip mining and transfer of wealth from the everyday American to billionaires that has ever been experienced in our nation's history. We've experienced relentless increases on prices on everything from diapers going up 184% to 70% increases in the prices of chicken and poultry and eggs. And despite ever-increasing record profits continuing to be reported as everyday Americans continue to deplete their savings just trying to survive, 67% of Wall Street and political insider economists that have been giving testimony before Congress and quoting for the record in the Wall Street Journal and Bloomberg have consistently stated over and over again, no, price increases haven't been driven by corporate greed. It's a nuanced issue related to supply chain and labor demands and squeeze in the economy. Why? Why have they been saying that? Well, their jobs depend on it. As a result, it's become a widely adopted narrative that companies and consumers have been sharing in the pain of record inflation and post-COVID recovery pains. But in reality, what we've witnessed is a corporate environment where the majority of all SEC filings are reporting record profitability with record stock buybacks and record dividend payouts, while CEOs are experiencing record bonus structures tied to the performance of those stocks. At the exact same time that they're paying out 50% increases in profitability, they're increasing prices between 50% and, yes, you're reading that right, 111,000% in the increases of prices on goods we need just to survive. And in light of these recent reports, we've reached a point where even the coziest political and Wall Street insiders have no choice but to admit that it's become obvious corporations are passing along any form of short-term struggling that they have onto consumers, and they're continuing to serve the wealthiest 1%, while nobody is passing along anything to help those in need of fair wages or products that are affordable just to survive. The newest analysis is showing that companies' profit growth is far outpacing worker wages while increasing the cost of living to unsustainable numbers. Let's take a look. Now, I want to remind you that this is profits after they've paid out everything. This is the money they're keeping at the end of the day and passing along to their shareholders, okay? What we're seeing here is the percentage increase in profitability they've experienced in the last 3 years compared to worker wages. What you're seeing here is commodities like steel and building materials that are driving up housing costs, experiencing 809% growth, okay? Albertsons Food and Groceries, profitability experiencing 671% increases, okay? Pulte Group Homes, 97% increases. Chevron, 144% increases. Consumer goods that we need to survive, 14% increases. Hershey, which has a monopoly on almost all candy products, 62% increases. Meanwhile, the median company, just every company in America, 49% increases of profits, while everyday workers' wages, right here, experience 1.6% increases from quarter 1 2020 to quarter 1 2022. All right, so what we're seeing is the real-time strip mining of any available wealth that was left to build or sustain a middle class to the hands and pockets of a handful of billionaires that control pretty much everything that controls us. Now, for the past 40 years, the percentage of price increases that was accounted for by corporate profitability had been almost perfectly stable at about 11%. That means for every dollar that a price on an item went up, only about 11 cents of that was related to profits that were passed on to shareholders. But the pandemic, the war in Ukraine, and a few supply chain issues created a perfect smokescreen for corporate executives to hide the real reasoning behind price increases and to kind of work together and collude with one another to create a mass increase in the cost of almost everything while passing on nothing to their employees. While the report on 2023 is showing 53% increases related to profitability, even in 2022 when we were just coming out of the pandemic, new data shows that 35% of all price increases were being pushed up due to just corporate profitability, which was then the highest level since 1950, a number we have far exceeded in this year. These bullet points are taken from calls between CEOs or CFOs and the shareholders of these major companies that experience these price increases. That one at the top is actually Chevron, where our gas prices have increased by almost double, stating that they've experienced record profitability greater than the company has ever seen, prompting dividend increases. And then they assured all of their shareholders they would keep production low to maintain high prices, meaning they could increase production and make things affordable for us. But why would we do that when we can keep giving more money to billionaires? I wish we could say it stops with them, but Steel Dynamics says the exact same thing, that they weren't materially affected by inflation and that their higher prices exceeded increased supply chain costs, so they're benefiting in record ways they never could have imagined. A couple of the biggest outward signs of this corporate greed are the massive increase in stock buybacks we experience. Now, if you don't know what that means, that's where a company takes their extra cash and instead of reinvesting it in their employees or in expansion or better products or passing along savings to consumers, they use it to buy their own stock to artificially inflate the price so that the dividend payouts get higher for their shareholders, thereby increasing additional demand for their stock and continuing the cycle while passing along nothing to their employees or their consumers. One of the worst examples we had this year, I'm sorry to say, is Mattel, who saw huge benefits coming off of Barbenheimer. Okay, their quarterly profit growth was up 111,000%, and they used it to do $9 billion in stock buybacks while not increasing employee wages almost at all. If you look here, you're going to see huge percentages and increases in profitability in lots of commodities, which is really what's partially responsible for driving up the home prices and the out-of-control housing costs. Over here, you're going to see record stock buybacks, okay, from those exact same companies like timber companies and steel companies and Caterpillar, who experienced a 958% increase and managed to do $5 billion in stock buybacks. Nobody is passing along the savings or increasing the wages of their employees. So it's creating a cycle of reinvesting in billionaires, siphoning money away from the economy to the hands of just a handful of people while leaving everybody else struggling for oxygen and pushed out of the middle class. At the heart of all of it.
Alright, this is your last chance. You've been in here 4 times already.
Now, when do you get off?
About 10 minutes.
Just come home with me.
I can't. I have way too much homework.
Homework? I heard your grades are bad anyway. This deal won't hurt you.
Alright, I'll see. Alright, this is your last.
I am a fictional place. Narnia. Oh, okay. Heaven. Oh, wait a second. I'm sorry. Leaving it in. I'm sorry. Alright, go ahead. I am a fictional place. Narnia. Oh, okay.
Fucking play with me. It's really cute.
I broke up with my ex-GF and started dating her friend when I thought she didn't love me. She just showed up screaming her friend sabotaged her. I, 28M, am really confused about the events of the last month. My ex-GF, Julie, 29F, thinks that my current GF, Mindy, 28F, is manipulative and sabotaged our 4-year relationship. I was in a loving relationship with Julie for the last 4 years. We met through some mutual friends, and Julie and I were very compatible in terms of our love for outdoor activities and running. We had very similar lifestyles and supported each other well for the last 4 years. We have also been living together for the last 3 years, and we even discussed getting married during the summer. Everything was great, and I was planning to propose to her over the holidays. However, I started to see changes in Julie's behavior around September. She was acting distant and looked stressed, which was quite noticeable, and I was worried. I trusted her with all my heart and couldn't imagine she would be cheating on me, but she did spend more time by herself. Around the same time, Julie's friend Mindy messaged me privately and asked if I could meet her secretly, as she wanted to tell me something about Julie. Mindy and Julie work together, and I have known Mindy ever since I started dating Julie. I was surprised, but to be honest, I assumed the worst, and I met her at a cafe after work. She asked me if things were going okay between Julie and me. She told me that Julie had confided in her that she was planning to leave me soon. This was a total shock to me. I asked her if there was anyone else that Julie was interested in, and she told me no. Julie confided in her that she wasn't sure about marrying me, and she told me she just had to tell me this so she didn't want me to be blindsided. I was devastated. I started putting more effort into making our relationship more exciting and planning more dates, etc. Mindy was also helping me through this time, telling me more about what Julie had confided in her. Eventually, before Thanksgiving, Julie told me that she loved me but wanted to take a break for a month to live alone. She said she just wanted to live alone for a month to make sure she wanted to marry me. I was completely heartbroken. I asked her if she wanted to pursue someone else. She told me that wasn't the case and I better not do anything stupid either. She loves me with all her heart, but she just wants to stay away from me to make sure that she is marrying me for love, and not because she is used to being with me. I didn't understand that at all. I told her that if she isn't sure after 4 years if she wants to marry me, then maybe we should just break up. We had a big fight and broke up after a few days. As our lease was ending, we decided to part ways in December. She got a new apartment, and I kept our old apartment and just took her name off the lease. After the breakup, I was feeling very lonely, as I wasn't used to being in the apartment alone. I didn't want to keep being sad, and hence invited a bunch of friends for a New Year's party, and I also invited Mindy. We had a good time, and my friends were doing their best to cheer me up. Mindy also mingled with my friends, and it was good. Mindy decided to stay back to help me clean up, and we hooked up that night. I felt guilty, but Mindy did cheer me up. Since then, we have hung out almost daily at my place. I'm still sad about Julie, but I won't lie that being with Mindy does make me feel happy. She is sweet and caring. Last Sunday, we woke up, and someone was banging on the door. I went to open it, and it was Julie. She looked furious and started yelling at me, accusing me of cheating on her. I told her I most certainly didn't cheat on her, and she was the one who broke up with me. Mindy was also at my apartment. Julie was just angry at both of us. She started calling Mindy a manipulated B-word and told me that Mindy was the one who suggested to her that she should take some time away from me to understand her true feelings. I calmed her down and asked her to explain herself. She told me that ever since our marriage talk, she told Mindy about it, and Mindy kept on asking Julie if she was sure about marrying me. Mindy suggested she take some time to herself to understand her true feelings, and that I would understand and give her space. When I said no, Mindy convinced her that I was so controlling that I couldn't even give her 1 month to herself and persuaded her to break up with me. Mindy told me that she didn't say any such things, and these were all Julie's ideas, and she was just there during these conversations. She did tell Julie that she told me about some of the things so that I could get a chance to make things right with her over the last few months. That made Julie more angry, and she started accusing me of emotionally cheating on her. Julie told me that the last few weeks had made her realize that we were meant to be together, but she now cannot believe I could move on from a 4-year relationship in a week. Update 1. After the incident, I asked Mindy for some time and haven't met her since. I messaged Julie every day since then, trying to talk to her, but she didn't reply to my messages. I wasn't sure if she blocked me. Mindy was constantly trying to message me, asking if we could meet and talk about it. On Wednesday, I decided to message Mindy. I told her to truthfully tell me everything she said to Julie. I told her that I would go no contact if I found out that she was lying. Mindy wanted to meet me in person or talk to me on the phone, but I wanted everything in writing. She messaged me that Julie always spoke well of me for all these years. When Julie told her about us discussing marriage in 2024, she was happy for both of us. However, Julie started confiding in her that she had cold feet and wasn't sure if she wanted to marry me due to issues she observed in her parents' marriage. One day, Julie told Mindy that she wanted to take a break from me as she was uncertain about her true feelings. That was when Mindy told me about Julie's behavior, feeling sorry for me, especially since we were already sharing our engagement plans with our families. After our fight, she said that Julie was extremely upset and told Mindy that she would never marry me. She mentioned that the only reason Julie came back was when she heard that I was moving on because she was jealous of us. Mindy also added that I was a good guy, and hopefully, I would realize that what we had is something special. I just said okay and told her I needed time. I kept messaging Julie once a day, hoping to at least talk to her. It was heartbreaking to think that she might have blocked me and might never talk to me again. On Friday afternoon, Julie finally replied. She said she wanted to meet me and told me she would come to our apartment on Saturday afternoon. I cleaned the place up and felt a deep sense of guilt before facing her. When she came in, she looked like a shell of herself and completely broken. I sat on our sofa, but she chose to sit away from me. We asked how we both were, but it was clear that neither of us was doing well. I started apologizing, but she stopped me. She asked me to let her finish and not to interrupt her. She had brought her little notebook and had written down things she wanted to say to me. She told me that she truly loved me, but after we discussed getting married, she started feeling scared of the next big step. She thought those feelings were normal and would go away. So, she decided not to discuss her concerns with me. It kept eating her from the inside, and she made a mistake by talking to Mindy about them. She said that she wanted to say everything to me now so I wouldn't get secondhand information about why she was distant and broke up with me. She explained that her parents had a very rocky marriage, though they stayed together until her mom passed away in 2021 during the pandemic. Her parents argued constantly, and she always thought her mom didn't love her dad. However, her mom was extremely dependent on him for everything, and her dad knew it and hence didn't treat her well. She never wanted to be like her mom after the marriage. However, as we lived together, she started noticing some of those issues in our relationship. For example, when we met, Julie had a lot of credit card debt and was bad at managing her money, and I helped her with that. Even though we have separate finances, I ended up managing all her finances, at her request, to the point that she didn't know or understand where her money exactly was. She also said that we always enjoy making nice meals for dinner every day. However, whenever I work late, she completely loses any motivation to cook and ends up eating cheese and crackers like a toddler for dinner. She also complained that in the last 4 years of our relationship, I have never said no to her for buying anything. She feels that I coddle her, and she just got comfortable with all the luxuries and things I could provide for her. She talked about this with Mindy, and while Mindy initially just listened to her, she told her around September that one of her cousins also had the same issue. She decided to stay away from her fiancé for a month, and within a week, She realized how much she missed him and never had doubts again. When Julie asked for a break, all she wanted to do was to live with her best friend for a few weeks, to see if she was just too codependent on me. She knew I was planning to propose during our Christmas trip to my parents' house, and when I told her that she couldn't take a break, she just freaked out and broke up with me. After this, she asked me when I started meeting Mindy and how many times we met. I opened my chat messages with Mindy and handed her the phone. I told her I met Mindy only once in September, where she told me that Julie wanted to break up with me because she wasn't happy with our relationship. I had already noticed Julie's distant behavior, and when I asked her, the only answer I got was, "I'm fine. We're fine." Due to my insecurities, I tried to hold on to Julie and started coddling her more, planning more expensive dates, and trying to spend more time at home. When Julie asked me for a break and to stay away from me for a few weeks, I thought that was the final step before the breakup, and I broke down and fought with her, which led to our breakup and her moving out. Julie stopped me there, and she told me she didn't need to hear the details after that. She explained that when she moved out of our house after our fight, she thought she was just not ready to get married to me. She stayed with her friend for 2 weeks and then got her new apartment in January. She told me that she was miserable and missed me badly. It became more acute when she moved into the apartment alone and couldn't stay there for even one night. Her best friend is currently staying with her in the new apartment. She realized she couldn't live without me within a week of living there. When she asked one of our mutual friends about how I was doing, she told her about the party and mentioned that Mindy was there. It didn't make sense to her why Mindy would be at the party. She concluded that Mindy and I were having an affair during our relationship, and that was the reason Mindy must have tried to break us apart by constantly telling her that she should not get married if she had doubts. When she saw Mindy in our apartment on Sunday, she completely broke down. However, when she learned that Mindy was also talking to me and telling me the opposite things, she realized how naive she was to throw everything away without properly talking to me first. As hurt as she is seeing me with Mindy, she also does not want to lose me. She kept on calling herself an idiot and apologizing for not telling her concerns to me sooner. I sat next to her and tried to hug her, but she moved away. She asked me if I was willing to still be together, and I told her I would give anything to get her back. She told me she was also willing to forget what happened, but she had a few conditions. Her first condition was that I cut contact with Mindy. I block her everywhere and never contact her again. If I see her standing in front of me, I act as if she is invisible. I was okay with that. Secondly, she has already signed up for individual therapy and is on the wait list. She wants us to do couples therapy so that we can talk about all the concerns we have and work through them. We also decided to hold off our engagement or marriage until we both can get into couples therapy. I was also okay with that too. Finally, she wanted me to forget the last month as a bad nightmare and never talk about it again. And if I ever make a "we were on a break" joke, she will punch me in the face. This was the first time we both smiled. I asked her what she was going to do about Mindy since they worked together. She said the biggest punishment for Mindy is to know that she didn't succeed in breaking us up. She wants Mindy to see how happy she is with me. She wants Mindy to be there when she flaunts her engagement ring in the office. And she wants Mindy to get jealous when we get married. We hugged, and I felt so relieved that I had a chance to make things right for her. In the morning, we discussed moving back in together. I want her to move back to our old apartment, but she wants a fresh start and asked me if I'm willing to move into her new apartment. Her new apartment is tiny compared to our current apartment and also not in the best neighborhood, but we will talk about it more and decide. Thank you everyone who helped out. I broke up with my ex-GF and started dating her friend when I thought she didn't love me. She just showed up screaming her friend sabotaged her. I, 28...
I just want to make something abundantly clear. When I say that you like women with swords, I'm not saying that it makes you a bottom. I'm saying you like women with swords. And also you're a bottom. I just want to make something abundantly
If your wife's a vegan, take her to a steakhouse for her birthday. Be a man.
I think men love more authentically than women.
Huh?
Oh, this is what I mean by that.
You said, say that again.
I said I think men love more authentically than women. And this is why. I can agree. Go ahead. Women are in love with love.
Yes.
And because of that, I think you guys are wired to stick anybody in that spot. You can make him fit. You guys are socialized for little girls to fall in love with the process, the pageantry of love, the courting phase and the dates and you know what I'm saying? He put his hand on my thigh and we walked down the aisle and all that stuff. On the flip side, when a man figures out they'll realize that he's in love, that's not a happy experience. He's like, I do. Because that is a responsibility. Now, because again, our two jobs are provide and protect. I love her means that I'm willing to die for her. That's not part of your responsibility. Right. So we're not going to be as flippant or as, generous with that love. Plus, we're not socialized to fall in love with the whole process and shit like that.
Right.
I think men love more authentically than women.
Huh?
Oh, this is what I mean.
You said, say that again.
I said, I think men love more authentically than women. And this is why. I can agree. Go ahead. Women are in love with love.
Yes.
And because of that, I think you guys are wired to
stick anybody in that spot. You can make him fit. You guys are socialized from little girls to fall in love with the process, the pageantry of love, the courting phase and the dates and you know what I'm saying? He put his hand on my thigh and we walked down the aisle and all that stuff. On the flip side, when a man figures out they'll realize that he's in love, that's not a happy experience. He's like, I do. Because that is a responsibility. Now, because again, our two jobs are provide and protect. I love her means that I'm willing to die for her. That's not part of your responsibility. Right. So we're not going to be as flippant or as, generous with that love. Plus, we're not socialized to fall in love with the whole process and shit like that. Right. I think men love more authentically than women. Oh, this is what I mean.
Knocking down crappy berries. Marine enlisted leader says housing needs to improve. Oh my God, this is a fever dream. What the fuck's going on? This man just openly got to it. He said the truth. You can tell it wasn't somebody hired saying, hey, just be professionally seen with this. No, he said fuck that shit. He said fuck that shit. They live in crappy barracks. It's basic human rights and dignity. He say the shit that general did.
Mold really isn't a problem for us. And I will tell senior leaders I don't have a mold problem, I have a discipline problem.
Our man ain't play no games. He said, I want my Marines to be treated well. And he's about to go brief Congress about this shit. What else did he do? It is basic human rights. It is dignity. It is a home rule, he said Monday on the Moments in Leadership podcast, a program that interviews senior leaders in the military, to include the former Sergeant Major of the Marine Corps, Troy Black. So we don't blink an eye to buy things and platforms. It is time to not blink an eye to invest in our people. I'm in the wrong fucking goddamn. Fuck this shit. That fucking right. That is leadership. That is fucking leadership. The highest leadership. And he about to go before Congress and be like, give me that fucking money so I can set my Marines right. And I'm dead serious, folks. I don't know if you watch the congressional hearings when all the big figureheads have to come talk to Congress. Figureheads for the U.S. Armed Forces, the different branches. The senior officer, the senior enlisted. The officers always go in there with their professional talk. And even then, the Marine Corps' highest ranking officer comes in and cuts the bullshit. The real doozy is when the senior enlisted for the different branches go in. Because they try to sound rough and tough and very professional. And it pisses me off because, hey, behind closed doors, they're ready to go full sin on our asses. But in front of Congress, it's like, well, and the studies and this is how we care for our service members, not the Marine Corps. They don't give a shit. Congress come in with some stupid ass question, they'll tilt their heads and decide, what the fuck that got to do with me? I'm here to tell you about this. What the fuck you bringing this other shit for? Bitch, run me my money. Run me my money so I can fucking take care of my Marines. God, I wish I could take that day off. I am literally 2.5 hour drive away from DC. I would love to go to that hearing. It is open. It's open to anybody that wants to. I want to be there and watch the Marine Corps work. Got it. We got a new Sergeant Major of the Army. SF Special Forces guy. Maybe he gonna come in with that thunder too. But so far, I ain't seen shit in articles that's even remotely close to the Marine Corps comment. I'm just saying. Like, But why am I ranting like this? Besides me being uber jealous of the Marines right now. Like, unto you Marines, I say this. No, seriously, if you check out that article, folks, there's no excuses in there. They lay out the hurdles that they have to get through. But the most senior non-commissioned officer of the Marine Corps is the one telling it like it is. I don't see that in Army articles about us. Agent Army drilling down like that is like, well, let me explain the process to you. You know, we have to put in a bid, and then Congress has to give us some money, and then we have to do contracting, but it's the cost of the no, it ain't any of that bullshit. And I got it. Pretty sure some people gonna jump in the comment section like, oh, he just put on the show. This, that, and the other. But put on the show for us, U.S. Army. Do that for us. Give us a little hope. Because right now, I see all that hope in the Marine Corps. And I'm like, shit. And you know what? I should have took that ceremonial sword when they asked me to join. I was like, no, I ain't doing that shit. Because my homeboy joined you guys. And he came back a year later, low crawling in the mall parking lot, stalking his ex-girlfriend. And shit. No, I had to be like, no, I couldn't. God damn it. But seriously, this is the type of leadership that we want. Someone who gives a fuck. And I got it. Lower echelons of that, you will see that. But when it matters most, you want to see the tippity top. Give that much fuck about their service members. The Marine Corps, y'all got it. God damn it, y'all got it. I cannot wait to watch that hearing. And if you normally don't watch a hearing, you're missing out. Knocking down crappy barracks.
Next up in line, let's see who we have. What's your favorite party drink?
We'll be you. You had beer? My mom said it was okay. I'm telling Bishop. No, please. You don't get your own kingdom when you die anymore.
What's the quickest you've seen somebody get engaged on campus?
Dated for 1.5 weeks, engaged, a couple months later married.
What do you think about soaking?
Low-key, when I tried with my grandma, it wasn't the same. It was a little scratchy.
What's your favorite party drink?
It's kind of a banger when they bring the Kool-Aid.
What about like a Red Bull?
Don't drink, so stay away from that, but I will drink a Red Bull.
When you pass away, what planet do you claim?
I'm always thinking celestial.
When you passed away, what planet do you claim?
I gotta say Pluto. It doesn't get too much love.
I'm a Gemini, so like I'm certified for Pluto.
I don't subscribe to that terminology.
What's your favorite party drink?
I like some good water.
What's your favorite party drink?
I love soda pop, but the best one here is probably cherry cream soda.
You don't mess with like Jaeger bombs?
I don't really drink much, so like soda pop is like the only thing.
Have you ever seen a rated R movie?
Have you seen Saving Private Ryan?
I watched like half of it.
I watched the full thing. I guess I'm more experienced in that rated R movie than you are.
Have you ever used VidAngel?
Yeah.
What movie was it?
Forgot.
Saving Private Ryan?
I watched that by myself.
What's your favorite party drink?
We'll be you. You had beer? My mom said it was okay. I'm telling Bishop. No, please. You don't get your own kingdom when you die anymore.
What's the quickest you've seen somebody get engaged on campus?
Dated for 1.5 weeks, engaged, a couple months later married.
What do you think of doing the rich?
It's all y'all be y'all soon. Drinks, baby. Come on. What up, boy? I missed you, boy. Good, boy.
That shit not it, bro. Take that shit off, bro.
Oh shit, you tell me I'm counting up. Who's visiting you enough? Nobody, man. The hell count up. You went in with 10, came out with 100. No. I'm sorry. No. I'm sorry. No way. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, man. Damn. What thank you? How long you been like this? I was locked up, fool. What the hell you mean what made me do it? Jail made me do it. Only? That's 1,825 days in a building with nothing but men. What the did you think was gonna happen? Huh? It's a cold, cold world outside the gates, boy. It's either hunt or get hunted, and I'll be damned if I let somebody hunt me. So I did the hunting. Cheated in that jungle, and the rest of the inmates for themselves. I see him, I get him. Ha! Someone like a target. I still got my big car back there. I ain't let nobody take my. I was doing that taking. I was the big dog in there. You should be proud of me. I ain't let nobody take what was mine. You're the rich. It's all y'all be y'all soon. Your drinks, baby. Come on. What up, boy? I missed you, boy. Good, boy. Oh, did you say new fashion shit? I'm trying not. You like it?
That shit not it, bro. Take that shit off, bro.
Oh shit! You tell me I'm counting up. Who's visiting you enough? Nobody, man. The hell count up. You went in with 10, came out with 100.
Hales, get that thing out of the house.
I wanna keep it.
Can't keep that thing. You can barely fit through the door. What the hell even is that thing?
It's a key.
I go meow.
Wait, it's supposed to be a cat?
Oh yeah, go meow.
I do.
Okay, Tails, we have a neighbor who's a cat, and she's about as cognitive as you and me. I don't think this is moral.
He's not cognitive.
How can you know that?
You
can't be serious. I mean, look at him.
Frankie. You realize all this does is prove he might be special needs, and it's wrong for you to keep him as a pet, like, by every moral standard?
I don't have a moral compass yet. I'm only 4.
Okay, I'm gonna call a homeless shelter, and then you and me are having a serious talk.
No, don't do that. The other kids believe me for being homeless. No.
Wait, other kids?
Well, yeah. I'm 3.
He's 3?
Well, yeah, I met him at school.
How is he so big then?
Gigantism.
So then, he talks like that, because...
He's 3 years old. What do you expect?
Please?
Fine. We're still talking about how you frame this as having a pet?
Don't worry, I promise I'm ashamed.
That's a good lad.
Sonic the Hedgehog!
Hey, what's going on, Daddy?
I'm tired of you. What?
I said, what is the problem, Papa?
I am not your father, you little shit!
But you made me in a lab.
That was right, Con, you fucking idiot!
Now, Dad, if you keep swearing in front of me, I'm gonna call Child Protective Services.
Where's I gonna fucking go?
The court finds that for the abuse you've given Sonic Robotnik III, you will be forced to give up your science stuffs, your monies, and your robots.
My robots!
Well, you should have expected this after being so cruel to your poor blue boy.
He's not my son!
You know, that is not the best defense in a court case where you're trying to prove you're not a child abuser. I'm just saying.
Am I losing my mind?
Well, to tell you the truth, we're trying to get you arrested for terrorism and slavery, but we don't have the legal fees to cover that, so this is basically a cover-up second trial, like OJ.
Oh.
Hales, get that thing out of the house!
I want to keep it.
Frankie.
I don't know how to tell you guys this, but I just looked at my notifications, and apparently, according to TikTok, I have been selected as the winner. I'm sorry. Everyone else can go home now. I'm so sorry. I don't know how to tell you guys this, but I just looked at my notifications, and apparently, according to TikTok, I have been selected as the winner. I'm sorry. Everyone else can go home now. I'm so sorry. I don't know how to tell you guys this, but I just looked at my notifications, and apparently, according to TikTok, I...
You don't get it yet, do you? I just gave you opportunity of a lifetime, brother. And I'll be damned I'll be disrespected like this. You don't get it yet, do you? I just gave you opportunity of a lifetime, brother.
This is my head.
That is your ugly head.
No. This is my head. That is you head.
You ugly head!
$6 million an hour in interest from the American people. $36 million an hour in interest from the American people. My children, my 2 children, were born $86,000 in debt based on the national debt. And why am I going to take away from those children to give to somebody that's going to be...
How many milligrams of caffeine did you have before band practice today?
But we assume that if you are old enough to get pregnant, then you are old enough to... let's talk about a 17-year-old or 18-year-old. Used to be shotgun marriages were a thing. And really, like...
That's a good idea.
I think the idea of parents staying together for the sake of a kid that they accidentally bore is absolutely a good idea. Yes. I think that it's a better idea than the man walking away and the kid being without a man in the house
So
for
you
the rest
think
of their
the
childhood. I
parents
know a lot of
should
people...
figure a way to work it out.
Yes.
And if they were both reasonable, they could do that.
Yeah, and I think that, by the way, a huge percentage of American births in the 40s and 50s were exactly this. There were a lot of 7-month babies in the 40s and 50s.
Yeah.
Like, something like 30 to 40% of all kids born in the 30s and 40s and 50s were 7-month babies. Or somebody got knocked up, and then the expectation was, now you're gonna, like, you did the crime, now you do the time, right? I mean, like,